नमस्कार दोस्तों आज हम लोग खालिस्तान मूवमेंट की अगली सीरीज में कुछ बातें करेंगे जो बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट हैं और जो पब्लिक की नॉलेज में नहीं है। पिछली बार तक हम लोगों ने कवर किया था किस तरीके से एक अकबर रोड गैंग ने जर्नल सिंह भिंडरवाले को प्रॉप अप किया और कैसे वो भस्मासुर बन बैठा था। आज हम थोड़ा आगे बढ़ेंगे और देखेंगे कि इस मामले में क्या हुआ है। तो मैं आपको सामने एक आर्टिकल शेयर ही कर देता हूँ जिसको मैं पढ़ता रहता हूँ और जिसके साथ में हम लोग बात करते हैं। देखते हैं क्या आता है। खोल के तो रखा था उसको। एक मिनट आया। ये है इंदिरा गांधी ने 1982 में जब अमेरिका की विजिट की थी, वहां से हम शुरू करते हैं। तो देखिए, Prime Minister Indira Gandhi was to reach New York on 27th July 1982 for an 8-day state visit to the US Director. 50 साल पूरे होने वाले हैं। 40, 82 और 22, 40 साल पूरे होने वाले हैं। कल हो जाएंगे। आज 27 तो हो गई ना, होने वाली है। तो Sunak called me about Suntuk called me about a fortnight before and said that according to the information he had, the chances of a threat to her life from USA and Canada-based Sikhs administration had considerably increased. We had to do everything possible to see that the visit passed off without any untoward incident. His information was of a general nature and he did not tell me any specific as to who, how, and where from that threat
दादा आवाज नहीं आ रही है।
हेलो।
हाँ दादा अब आवाज आ गई।
अरे यो मेरा वो डिस्कनेक्ट हो गया, शायद कैमरा डिस्कनेक्ट हो गया था, पूरा माइक ही चला गया था वापस। दोबारा फिर से
सेम दादा भी शायद देख रहे हैं, मैं वो शेयर कर रहा हूँ लिंक
ये। और यहाँ पर पूरा मतलब ये जो तो बंद करते हैं इसको, दोबारा करेंगे इसको।
अब तो आवाज आने लगी वैसे।
नहीं, जो मैं शेयर कर रहा था वो भी तो नहीं आ रहा है ना इसमें, मैं शेयर किया था इसको, यहाँ पे लिखा हुआ है स्टॉप स्क्रीन करके बोल रहा है और स्टॉप शेयरिंग बोल रहा है, लेकिन दिखाई नहीं देता रहा कुछ।
दोबारा शेयर करो एक बार रिमूव करके। हाँ हाँ आ गया, दादा भी आ गए। हाँ अब ग्रीटिंग कर लेता हूँ। चर्च पर दादा, एम दादा और बीबी दादा,
बहुत बहुत आशीर्वाद।
इसको काटना पड़ेगा बीच में जितना ब्लैंक हुआ है ना। हेलो
दादा कहाँ से वो हुआ था, वॉइस कहाँ से गई थी?
शुरू से ही गई थी सर।
मतलब आई नहीं थी शुरू से?
हाँ जी।
अच्छा तो मतलब
तभी तो मैं फोन किया आपको सर, नहीं तो मैं आपको फोन नहीं करता, आप डिस्टर्ब हो जाते इसलिए फोन नहीं करता मैं। आवाज नहीं आ रही थी इसीलिए।
चलो दोबारा पढ़ो इसको शुरू से, इसके पहले वाला मैं निकाल दूंगा फिर बाद में देखेंगे।
जी जी
15 मिनट तक निकल जाएगा ये। अभी कितना 15 मिनट 15 मिनट 35 सेकंड हुआ है। बेसिकली ये है, इसमें बता देता हूँ मैं जितना भी मैंने पढ़ा है
जी
उसमें ये है कि इंदिरा जी 1982 में 27 जुलाई को अमेरिका गई थी और वहां पर एक थ्रेड परसेप्शन था। तो रा के ऑफिसर ने इनको बोला था कि तुम वहां पे जाकर के थोड़ा अरेंजमेंट करो। तो रिचमंड में एक
जी
गुरुद्वारा है, वहां पर जब गई थी तो वहां पर कुछ 4-5 छोकरे बाहर आए थे जो वहां का जो गुरुद्वारे का प्रबंधक कमेटी का जो था ना सोडी, उससे
जी
झगड़ा
जी
कर
जी
रहे थे। दे वर ट्राइंग टू एंटर इनसाइड, लेकिन वो एंटर नहीं कर पाए। बाद में जब इन्होंने सिद्धू साहब ने जाके पूछा उनसे कि क्यों
जी
झगड़ा कर रहे थे, बोले कि उसमें से एक आदमी था जो इंदिरा गांधी गोली मारना चाह रहा था। पूरा जो मतलब जितना मैंने अभी 15 मिनट पढ़ा है उसका लगभग जवाब ये है। तो आई डोंट वांट टू
जी
वेस्ट
जी
टाइम, पीछे उसको छोड़ देते हैं। अभी यहीं पे अगर आगे पढ़ना है तो यहीं से पढ़ लो, जितना ज्यादा अच्छा रहेगा।
हाँ तो in that context ये this was the reason why he and the others with him were trying to stop that man from entering the Gurudwara. So they said they could not allow any such thing to happen in the US or Canada, as the security agencies would have immediately clamped down on all the activities in North America. So they said the person with the gun was from Toronto and had developed a strong animosity towards Indira Gandhi because of what was happening in Punjab. So they then said that he had come to know that this man's plan to kill Indira Gandhi during a visit to the Gurudwara about a month back. From then onwards, Sodhi had been keeping a close watch. Sir, ये StreamYard वाला हटा दिए, अच्छा रहा. From then onwards, Sodhi had been keeping a close watch on the man's activities. Given the sensitivity of this information, I requested Sodhi to join me for lunch, where I wanted him to meet some important persons. As his flight back to Toronto was Until late afternoon, he agreed to accompany me. I booked a table for 5 for lunch at a Chinese restaurant on the ground floor of the building where the permanent mission of India to the United Nations was located. Keeping in view Trivedi's uncalled for snide remarks, I contacted Subhash Tandon by phone and informed him that I would like to meet someone who had information relating to a threat to Indira Gandhi's life. Tandon was busy, and so I sent Trivedi and Saigal to meet us at the, and so he sent Trivedi and Saigal to meet us at the restaurant. On our way there, I told Sodhi that we would be meeting two senior officers from the Intelligence Bureau, who, as members of the Prime Minister's security detail, had been on duty that morning. Soon after we arrived at the restaurant, Trivedi and Saigal joined us. I introduced them to Sodhi. Both were familiar with his name and the position he held in Jagjit Singh Chauhan's setup at Toronto. Frail, 5 foot 8 inches tall, fair complexioned, and with a thin graying beard, Sodhi did not fit the image of someone involved in pro Khalistan activities. A little later, pointing towards Trivedi, I told Sodhi that he didn't believe there was any threat to Indira Gandhi's life during a visit to the Gurdwara that morning. I requested him to share with them what he had told me earlier. Everyone listened to him in rapt attention and in total silence. No questions were asked. Afterwards, I took Sodhi in a cab to drop him at LaGuardia Airport so he could catch his flight to Toronto. I asked him how his business was doing. He replied that thanks to Indira Gandhi's mishandling of the situation in Punjab, a fairly large number of Sikhs in Canada and the US had started believing in what his organization had been propagating so far. In a mischievous tone, he asked me to convey the special thanks to her for all that. सर सर ये आप जो चीज लगा कर रखे हैं ना उससे लाइन कट रही है सर दिखाई नहीं दे रहा हाँ हाँ हाँ
अब
सर नहीं लास्ट लाइन पिछला पेज का लास्ट लाइन मिस हो गया
ठीक है ना 1 मिनट को करता हूँ हाँ ये
फॉर ऑल दैट उसके बाद दिखाई नहीं दे रहा है सर
अभी भी नहीं दिखा रहा है
अरे ऑब्स्ट्रक्शन है ना ये स्ट्रीम यार्ड का जो वो दिया हुआ
कौन सा ऑब्स्ट्रक्शन है
अरे आप ये जो स्ट्रीम यार्ड का लिंक जो दिए वो बड़ा हो गया ना
अच्छा ये चल रहा है ओके ओके 1 मिनट हाँ ये मैंने नहीं दिया ये शायद प्रवीण ने दिया होगा प्रदीप ने दिया होगा निकला
In a mischievous tone, he asked me to convey the special thanks to her for all that she was doing in Punjab. After dropping Sodhi at the airport, I sent a message to Santuk about what had happened during the day. I left for Los Angeles on the afternoon of 2nd August to reach the Holiday Inn Hotel an hour or so before the arrival of the Prime Minister's entourage. By the time she arrived at the hotel, it was getting dark, but no one could still see about 50, but one could still see about 50 or 60 Sikh demonstrators standing at a distance of about 200 meters across the road, shouting anti-Indira slogans. The overall tone of the sloganeering was somewhat muted. Within 20 minutes of her arrival, they had dispersed. On 3rd of August, Indira Gandhi had two engagements at Los Angeles. In the morning, Mayor Tom Bradley presented her with a key to the city. During that time, I quickly went to meet my sister Preet and her husband Harnik Grewal at their home in Diamond Bar, a suburb of Los Angeles. I returned in time for Indira Gandhi's address to prominent members of the local Indian community that evening. She called upon them to improve India's image in the United States. Spare a thought for India, she said. She left for Honolulu the same evening for a 14-hour stopover. 14-hour stopover. The delegation checked into Hotel Kahala Hilton late at night. On the morning of 4th of August, while Indira Gandhi was formally presenting a baby elephant to the Honolulu Zoo, I did a quick round of the city, accompanied by a friend from the delegation. We bumped into a Sikh driver of a Honolulu-based fishing magnate. I still remember his name. Operationally, he was of no use to us, even though he was an interesting character. I parted company with the Prime Prime Minister's entourage in the evening and left for New Delhi with a night halt at Tokyo. I left, I left Tokyo on 5th of August by Air India 307 and reached New Delhi in the evening. One up man ship. The next morning, on 6th of August, I met Santuk in his office and handed over a short note about my visit. He remarked, I didn't know that you can also indulge in one-upmanship. I knew that he was referring to what he was referring to. I told him that it was Trivedi who had first taunted me and blamed the department for creating an unwarranted scare. Further, as it was actionable intelligence, I felt that the IB's VVIP security team should be made aware of the continuing danger to Indira Gandhi's life as soon as possible, as the PM's state visit was not yet over. Santuk didn't say anything more. Having worked with him over a period of time and knew him extremely well, and also knew that he had full faith in me, I could walk into his room any time after checking with his PS as to whether someone else was with him. But from his demeanor, I could make out that Santuk didn't like my having confronted Trivedi with Sodhi. I tried to visualize the real reason for Santuk's remarks. Did I inadvertently expose a raw source to the IB? It might have been so. Sodhi was not my source when I was posted at Ottawa, since the department was not interested in Khalistan related activities at the time. It's possible my successor had cultivated him in view of the change requirements.
देखा क्या होता है, रॉ के ऑफिसर को मालूम नहीं पड़ता कि कौन कौन क्या कर रहा है, क्या नहीं कर रहा है.
हाँ,
एक्चुअली सोडी वाज अ सोर्स,
जी जी.
और इसने सोडी को एक्सपोज कर दिया सबके सामने. ये प्रॉब्लम हुआ, ये हुआ
It
है.
is, it is also possible that information relating to a threat to the Prime Minister could have come directly from London-based Jagjit Singh Chauhan through high-level operational raw contacts established with him to keep a tab on his organization's links with Pakistan and the ISI. Incidentally, despite Chauhan's best efforts, he had not succeeded in creating any noticeable following in North America for his cause until then. In that context, the following excerpts from a report in India Today. Today's 28th February 1983 issue corroborate my views on the subject. Chapter 1. Until the spring and summer of 1981, the voice of pro-Khalistan elements was like a cry in the wilderness. Then came the sudden influx of more than 2,000 Sikhs seeking political asylum in Canada, claiming oppression and brutality at the hands of Mrs. Gandhi's government. Did the Indian government deliberately overlook such an exodus? Were Chauhan's men allowed to ferry so many Sikhs to Canada? At that time, it was widely believed, both in Canada and Punjab, that most of the so-called seekers of political asylum, including a full Boeing 747 load, which landed in Toronto, were directly or indirectly sponsored by Jagjit Singh Chauhan's setup. There could not have been a more effective way of increasing the number of pro-Khalistan residents in Canada. To justify the claim of persecution by the Indian government for their political views, those asylum seekers had to unnecessarily get involved in pro-Khalistan activities. Getting back to Trivedi's snide remarks, they were a bit too much for me to digest. Also, if I had not done what I had, the IB would have thought that there was actually no danger to the Prime Minister's life at Richmond Hill Gurudwara, or for that matter, during the rest of a state visit to the United States. Incidentally, Sodhi avoided meeting me the next year when I visited Toronto in September 1983. We only talked on the phone. Also, I didn't see him among the two busloads of Sikhs who had come from Toronto to demonstrate in front of the UN building in New York, where Indira Gandhi was to address the UN General Assembly session at the time. Chapter 8. As far as Santuk was concerned, things were back to normal from the next working day onwards. A state of controlled chaos. The situation in Punjab in early 1983 can be summed up as follows. The moderate Akali Dal leadership was demoralized by the repeated failure to get any face-saving concessions from the central government that would enable them to withdraw their morcha. In the face of Bhidranwale's criticism, they had to keep increasing the level of their demands. Bhidranwale's profile was on the ascendant, and he continued to carry on with his unbridled acts of extremism to instill fear in the minds of the Hindus of Punjab which had an impact on Haryana too. The Punjab government was frustrated as they were left with little initiative to take on the spot independent decisions. A dispirited Punjab police and the Central Reserve Police Force were accusing each other of being communal in the discharge of their duties. It was a recipe for disaster. The national
मतलब एक
elections
मिनट,
was
रुको, इसको छोड़ते हैं, ये ऐसे वो कर रहा है अभी, ये पढ़ो.
the killer squad and unabated violence. When Harchand Singh Longwall and other Akali leaders were fast losing credibility, Bhidranwale did not miss any opportunity to criticize them for their weak-kneed, yeah, spelling wrong, weak-kneed attitude towards the central government. By then, he had built a team of trusted lieutenants to help manage his various activities. The team included Harminder Singh Sandhu, General Secretary of the All India Sikh Student Federation, Dalbir Singh, his political advisor, and Rajpal Singh, his secretary. His right-hand man, Amrik Singh, President of AISSF, and his command, and his second in command, Thara Singh, who had been arrested on 19th of July 1982, resumed their activities after their release in the summer of 1983. Lest anyone should refuse to accept his authority, Bhidranwale continued a killer squad that comprised, among others,
दादा भिंडरावाला, भिंडरावालन नहीं, भिंडरावाला बोलिएगा दोबारा.
जो लिख रहा है वही पढ़ूंगा सर, अंग्रेजी में जो लिखा हुआ है वही पढ़ूंगा, उस चक्कर में और वर्ड छोड़ रहा है.
अरे क्या फर्क पड़ता है यार, भिंडरवाला बोला, भिंडरवाला बोला, क्या फर्क पड़ता है?
अरे आपका सरदार जी लिखा है, मैं थोड़े लिखा हूँ स्पेलिंग, वो अपने आप आ जाता ना, जब रीडिंग पढ़ता हूँ तो वही आ जाएगा नाम जो लिखा. देखिए भिंद्रनवाले लिखा हुआ है यहाँ, क्या करूं बताइए.
बात सही है,
जो अब वो भी तो सरदार ही हैं जो लिखे हैं.
नहीं, उसमें प्रॉब्लम ये है कि अगर हम भिंडरवाला बोलेंगे तो जो पब्लिक इसको देख रही है वो बोलेगी साला चूतिया है, इस तरीके से बोल रहा है ये, जबकि इसमें भिंडरवाले लिखा हुआ है.
ठीक है दादा, जैसा आप चाहो.
दादा कई चीजें जो है ना वो इंग्लिश में लिखी नहीं जाती हैं सही,
मतलब
ये नाम भी वैसे ही है.
नहीं, जो जैसे लिखा हुआ अभी, ये क्या है, ये रॉ का ऑफिसर होगा जो इसके रिकॉर्ड में जिस तरीके से जहां पर भी मिला होगा ना उसी तरीके से लिखा है. ही इज नॉट एन इडियट, ही विल राइट द
नहीं दादा वो बात नहीं है, वो बात नहीं है. जैसे झंडे वाला है ना, तो झंडे वाला को भी झंडे वाला लिखा जाता है, इंग्लिश में लिख नहीं पाते झंडे वाला.
अब इंग्लिश पढ़ रहा हूँ तो इंग्लिश स्टाइल में ही पढ़ूंगा ना.
ये है कि जो इसने लिखा है वो ऑफिशियल रिकॉर्ड में जो इसका नाम है उस तरीके से लिख रहा है. बाकी तो कुछ भी बोलो, वाले बोलो, कुत्ता वाला बोलो, गाय वाला बोलो, कुछ भी बोलो, लेकिन जो रिकॉर्ड में लिखा होगा उस तरीके से वो लिख रहा है.
देखिए वो नहीं बोल रहा मैं, इंग्लिश की प्रॉब्लम ये है, इंग्लिश में लिख नहीं पाते बस, और कोई.
अरे वो ठीक है यार, मैं बोल रहा हूँ कि ये जो बंदा रेफर कर रहा है ये रिकॉर्ड के हिसाब से रेफर कर रहा है, बाकी कुछ नहीं कर रहा है. ही इज आल्सो सरदार, ही नोस, जैसे कि अपना तेजवीर है वैसे वो भी है, उसको मालूम है कि उसका किस तरीके से प्रोनाउंसिएशन होता है और किस तरीके, लेकिन ही इज गोइंग एट पर रिकॉर्ड, जो गवर्नमेंट के रिकॉर्ड में इसका नाम है उस तरीके से लिख रहा है.
ठीक है दादा, मैं वो नहीं कह रहा.
पंजाब पुलिस नहीं, समझ गया मैं आप क्या बोल रहे हो, लेकिन उस पे वो डॉट वगैरह वो सब रहता है, वो गीता वेता में उस तरह लिखा हुआ रहता है. ये किताब में जैसा लिखा हुआ है वैसा ही रहेगा, मतलब समझ रहे हो आप जो बोल रहे हो, गीता का जो व्याख्या वगैरह जो रहता है उसमें वो उस तरह अंग्रेजी.
वो नहीं कह रहा था, मैं ये कह रहा था जैसे कुछ
कौन सा प्रोनाउंस होगा नहीं होगा. हाँ समझ गया मैं. अंग्रेज लोग
वर्ड्स वो लिखे ही नहीं जा सकते इंग्लिश में, लैंग्वेज में, इसलिए ऐसा कई वर्ड्स में होता है. ये भी उसी टाइप का ही है.
नहीं, भिंद्रावाला तो लिखा ही जा सकता ना, भिंद्रावाला ये तो लिखा जा सकता अंग्रेजी में, क्यों नहीं लिखा जा सकता. भिंद्रावाला नहीं लिखा जा सकता है. एन जब लिखा हुआ,
अगर नाक से वो बोला जाता होगा तो वो लिखा नहीं जा सकता इंग्लिश में.
अब इसके चक्कर में मेरा रीडिंग खराब होगा ना.
रीडिंग पढ़ो दादा, अरे आप रीडिंग करो, मैं कह रहा हूँ इंग्लिश की प्रॉब्लम है.
मैं क्या बोल रहा हूँ कि ये कोई मतलब ये कोई टॉपिक है कि ये नहीं, इसको इस तरीके से बोलो, उस तरीके से बोलो, जो लिखा है उसको बोलो.
नहीं दादा, वो मैं पढ़ने को ही बोल रहा हूँ, वैसे ही बोल रहा हूँ मैं, सिर्फ एग्जांपल दे रहा था. इंग्लिश में कुछ वर्ड्स लिखे ही नहीं जाते, वो इंग्लिश की कमी है, हमारी नहीं है. ठीक है दादा, बोलो, पढ़ो आप.
Four deserters from Punjab police, Amarjit Singh, Seva Singh, Kabul Singh and Gurnam Singh, an escaped convict, Talvinder Singh and Surinder Singh Sodhi. Bhidranwale also started holding court to settle personal disputes and began dispensing quick justice through the killer squad in cases he saw as serious violations of the Sikh religious code of conduct or where he saw a challenge to his authority. The violence in Punjab continued unabated. In addition to the Nirankaris, senior leaders and functionaries of the ruling Congress party were not spared either. Chief Minister Darbara Singh survived an attack. A bomb was thrown into the house of a cabinet minister of Punjab as well as into the house of a Congress member of the Punjab Legislative Assembly. Bombs were also thrown to disturb India's Republic Day celebrations at Amritsar on 26th of January 1983. On 27th of January, a branch of the Syndicate Bank was robbed. There was another attempt to rob a bank in April 1983, but specific and targeted killings, which destroyed the morale of the police, were yet to come. To reassert his leadership, in April 1983, Longwall launched a Rasta Roko, blocked the road's agitation, which attracted significant response from the Sikhs of Punjab. The transport system was completely paralyzed, and bloody clashes with the police followed. The response to his call for agitation encouraged Longwall to order Bhidranwale to take an oath of loyalty to him, which the latter reluctantly did. सर उसको पढ़ने के चक्कर में मेरा बाकी गड़बड़ हो जा रहा है. But the bonhomie didn't last for long. During the course of the agitation, a home guard armory in Firozpur district was looted by extremists. In the last week of April 1983, Longwall announced in Amritsar the creation of a voluntary force of 1 lakh Sikhs to be known as Marji Wares, the Do or Die Squad. By this time, जो लिखा हुआ है वही पढ़ रहा हूँ. Bhidranwale and his men were above the law. It needed sanction of the Prime Minister's think tank before they could be arrested, and that sanction was not coming. Bhidranwale's unbridled activities were terrorizing the Hindus of Punjab, who wanted an end to his reign of terror as soon as possible. However, the time had not yet come. The One Akbar Road group was busy trying to ensure two things. First, hopes of a negotiated settlement with the Akalis were to be kept alive for some more time. For what, the Akalis had to continue the agitation program to build pressure on the central government and to invite them for another round of negotiations. For this, it was necessary that the Akalis didn't lose faith in the process. Second, care had to be taken that Bhidranwale did not go too fast and too far to his extremist activities, which could force the government to intervene much before the predetermined time. The One Akbar Road group had enough time to place their own trusted men in Bhidranwale's circle to win the confidence of Bhidranwale and influence his decisions. This they did either through party workers or through intelligence agencies. Harminder Singh Sandhu, General Secretary of the AISSF, was suspected to be one such person. As Harminder knew English well, Bhidranwale used him as an interpreter. Whenever an English-speaking visitor came to meet him. Sandhu was also suspected to be an agent run by the RAW for intelligence on Bhidranwale. And on Pakistan's involvement in Punjab-related violence, though not to my knowledge. Incidentally, Sandhu was the only one among Bhidranwale's inner circle who surrendered to the army during Operation Blue Star. There might have been many more such moles, especially among those who escaped from the Akal Takht Golden Temple complex on the eve of Operation Blue Star. During that period, I had heard of one such person named withheld as desired by the source of information who won Bhidranwale's trust by presenting him with a brand new revolver which he liked and asked for a second, which was promptly procured and presented, courtesy of one of the two intelligence agencies concerned. This man also escaped from the Golden Temple complex a few days before the army moved in. By these tasks, both these tasks had to be managed by the One Akbar Road group through their contacts or through reliable second-level Congress leaders and the three-man think tank. The Akali Dal leaders could be manipulated through people like Balwant Singh, who was close to PC Alexander, and a couple of others who might have risen through the ranks of the Akali Dal or gained importance because of the support of persons or agencies of the central government. For an informed reader, it would not be difficult to shortlist the names of some such Akali Dal leaders. Similarly, it was not difficult for these persons and agencies to manage the activities of a person like Bhidranwale, who was originally the creation of the one Akbar Road group itself, but who over a period of time started drifting, or more appropriately, was intentionally allowed to drift from his original mentors to help him shake off the impression that he was actually the creation of the one Akbar Road group. Naturally, the group had no objection to that, provided Bhidranwale's activities did not cross their comfort zone, which could force them to act prematurely or run the risk of Indira Gandhi further losing credibility. A police officer is murdered. As mentioned in Chapter 4, Avtar Singh Atwal, DIG of Police Jalandhar Range and former Senior Superintendent of Police of Amritsar District, was shot dead on 25th of April 1983 on the steps of the Golden Temple. The emasculated state machinery let his body lie where he fell in full public view for over 2 hours before it was allowed to be retrieved. The message that it conveyed was, if the government could not act against Atwal's killers hiding in the Golden Temple complex or in Guru Nanak Niwas, how could it save the lives of ordinary citizens from the same killers? Now emboldened by the government's inaction, this instilled even more fear in the minds of the general population. Little did anyone realize that taking action against the killers at that stage did not fit in with the One Akbar Road group's plan. While posted as SSP Amritsar, Atwal had been able to plant one of his sources in close proximity to Bhidranwale in order to secure information on his and his men's activities. It was through this source that Atwal came to know that on 15th of March 1983, two members of Bhidranwale's killer squad were planning to carry out an assigned task. Based on that information, Atwal deployed SP headquarters Amritsar GD Pandey to lay a trap at Manawala Bridge on the Grand Trunk Road going towards Jalandhar. As expected, around 4:30, a jeep stopped in front of the temporary Naka barrier installed by Pandey's men. Finding their way blocked, the occupants of the jeep threw a hand grenade towards the police party blocking the road, who returned fire. Pandey was injured. One of the occupants of the jeep, Rajiv Singh Chinna, was killed and three others were injured. The driver of the jeep, Gursant Singh, reversed the vehicle and took the dead body to Guru Nanak Niwas. Gursant narrated the incident to Bhidranwale, who issued a statement accusing the police of murdering one of his associates in cold blood. Atwal's source was soon identified, and the nature of his connection with Atwal was extracted from him. His mutilated body was found later outside Guru Nanak Niwas. As a result, Atwal became a marked man on Bhidranwale's hit list. On 25th of April 1983, Atwal entered the Golden Temple complex through the clock tower entrance at around 10 a.m. Like any other Sikh, he undertook the parikrama of the sacred Sarovar tank before paying homage to Guru Granth Sahib in Darbar Sahib. He then came out, received prasad, and walked towards the clock tower side exit. Holding the prasad, he climbed the 13 marble steps and was about to leave the complex when he was shot from behind. Riddled with 7 bullets, Atwal died on the spot, and his body lay there in broad daylight, in full view of a large number of people. Policemen at a nearby post remained mute witness to the senior officer's murder, despite knowing that the person responsible for it was hiding a short distance away at Guru Nanak Niwas. Reportedly, Brigadier Tejinder Singh Grewal, a close relation of Atwal's, and his friend Jarnail Singh Chahal, an IPS officer of the Punjab cadre, had asked Atwal to come to Amritsar on 25th of April for discussions on an important matter. Grewal was at that time posted at the army headquarters in New Delhi. Chahal was the person who had negotiated Bhidranwale's surrender at Chowk Mehta in 1981. According to the slain DIG's family, Atwal initially resisted going to Amritsar, but was persuaded by his two officials over the telephone. The three had a long discussion before Atwal went into the Golden Temple. Both Grewal and Chahal had been hobnobbing with Longwal and Bhidranwale for some time. In fact, at the precise moment that Atwal was gunned down, Chahal alone with Longwal and Grewal was also in the vicinity. Rather than go to the scene of crime where Atwal's body lay unclaimed, both Grewal and Chahal left for Chandigarh in haste, where they met Governor A.P. Sharma, former Union Minister of State for Industries and later Governor of West Bengal, and then at night, Chief Minister Darbara Singh. They did not attend Atwal's Bhog, last rites, lest they should be accused by Atwal's family of responsibility for his murder. Incidentally, the investigation of the case was handed over to the CBI by bypassing the Punjab police, who had the original jurisdiction. Also, CBI's director J.S. Bajwa was asked to CBI director J.S. Bawa was asked to personally handle the case and report directly to Indira Gandhi. The visit to the Golden Temple from Delhi of a senior serving army officer, along with a serving Punjab police officer of SP rank, and their request to a Punjab police DIG to join them would not have been done without instructions from above. It appears that there was some plan afoot which went awry with Atwal's unexpected murder. Why did neither Punjab police nor the CRPF not enter the Guru Nanak Niwas to capture Bhidranwale's killer squad responsible for Atwal's murder remains an unanswered question. Darbara Singh told Mark Tully and Satish Jacob, I consistently told central government that the Guru Nanak Niwas rest house was not a part of the temple complex, that the police should be sent in there. But they told me they were afraid of inflaming Sikh sentiments. The authors conclude, in the national outcry that followed Atwal's murder, very few Sikhs, except those already committed to Bhidranwale, would have raised any objection. In fact, many Sikhs, especially those living outside Punjab, would have welcomed it. With that, I fully agree. Bhidranwale's hit list. Within a couple of months of Atwal's murder, two close associates of Bhidranwale's, Thara Singh and Amrik Singh, whose release was the only condition Bhidranwale asked for in November 1982, when Swaran Singh had gone to meet him, were released from jail. Soon after his release, Amrik Singh, as president of the AISSF, called a meeting of the organization at the Golden Temple, where Hindus were specifically targeted in slogans, songs, and speeches. Bhidranwale was the main attraction at the meeting, and Longowal appeared to play second fiddle to him. It would be interesting to note here that many in Amritsar were aware that R.L. Bhatia, president of the Punjab State Congress Party and the local member of parliament for whom Bhidranwale had canvassed during the 1980 elections, continued to maintain contact with Bhidranwale through Amrik Singh till as late as May 1984. It is obvious that Bhatia was maintaining that connection on behalf of the One Akbar Road group. Though Amrik Singh's release at that point was described as a mistake, it could also have been the result of a move by the One Akbar Road group to introduce a more sinister dimension to the already chaotic situation. The proceedings of the AISSF conference Amrik Singh organized would bear this out. Soon after this, friction between Longwal and Bhidranwale surfaced. The two started spending most of their time in their respective rooms in Guru Nanak Niwas. The activities of Bhidranwale's killer squad also gained momentum. At least 5 bodies were found in the sewers close to Guru Nanak Niwas in August and September 1983. During this period, unverified stories of Bhidranwale's hit list began circulating. The list reportedly included names of police officers and government officials, Hindus as well as Sikhs, with whom Bhidranwale had scores to settle. A police officer, Bichu Ram, who had forcibly trimmed the beard of a Sikh, was killed within 6 months of the incident. Bhidranwale and his men also started sending threatening letters to newspaper editors and journalists, including Khushwant Singh and Prem Bhatia, the editor of the Chandigarh-based daily The Tribune. Bhidranwale's interpreter at that time is reported to have said, "No one can refuse Sanjay's orders." Communal discord. Following inflammatory anti-Hindu speeches at the AISSF meeting at the Golden Temple on 20th of September 1983, some Sikhs fired upon a group of fired upon a group of Hindu morning walkers at Jagraon, a small town near Ludhiana. On 5th of October, a group of Sikhs hijacked a bus near Dhilwan village in Kapurthala district, separated Hindu passengers from the rest, and shot dead 6 of them at point-blank range. Consequently, on 6th of October, Chief Minister Darbara Singh was made the scapegoat. The Congress government in Punjab, led by a powerless but secular Chief Minister, was dismissed for its failure in maintaining law and order in the state. Soon after this development,
अरे एक मिनट, ये बेवकूफ था क्या? इसको मालूम नहीं पड़ रहा था कि क्या तमाशा हो रहा है? He should have resigned ना. Dismiss का मतलब he was waiting for his dismissal. बाद में he paid his price. बाद में मारा गया वो.
जी जरूर लोग बाकी लोग समझा होंगे, कुछ नहीं होगा, आप सेफ हो.
नहीं, कांग्रेसियों को सत्ता का एक लालच रहता है. अच्छा ठीक है,
नहीं, लालच भी रहता है और यूज भी किया जाता. देखिए, इसको तो डिसमिस कराने के लिए लोग सोच के रखा था, कोई बहाना ढूंढ रहा था कि कैसे इसको भगाया जाए, फंसा कर भगा भी दिया, और ये भी लालची आदमी पड़ा हुआ था. आप सही बोल रहे हो. Soon after this development, Mark Tully met Darbara Singh at Chandigarh and the later blamed the faction in the central government loyal to Zail Singh for his downfall. A senior colleague of Darbara Singh went so far as to claim that President Zail Singh was still in daily contact with Bhidranwale. There's no doubt.
That's what I wanted to. इसलिए मैं इसको पढ़ने के लिए बोल रहा था. He was president of India and was directly in contact with Bhidranwale. ये और ऑफिसर लिख रहा है.
बिल्कुल. There's no doubt that Darbara Singh had worked to take action against Bhidranwale, and it was the central government. सारा तो इन लोगों का करा हुआ चीज है, which had refused to allow him to send the police into the temple rest house where the Sant had made his headquarters. Darbara Singh was one of the very few Congress leaders who had the courage to attack Bhidranwale by name. Darbara Singh matched his words with deeds as far as the central government allowed him. यहाँ लिख रहा, as far as the central government allowed him. The other problem was, of course, that Darbara Singh's police were not allowed to tackle the problem at its root, meaning Bhidranwale. Following the Dhilwan village incident, as a measure to reassure the local Hindu population, a CRPF contingent conducted a route march through the streets of Amritsar. Within a week, the state administrative machinery at the top was overhauled. Governor A.P. Sharma was sent to West Bengal, and in his place, former cabinet secretary, the well-regarded civil servant B.D. Pandey, was posted as governor on 10th of October. 4 senior civil servants were sent from the center to help him run the administration of Punjab. P.S. Bhinder, husband of Sukhbans Kaur Bhinder, Congress MP from Gurdaspur, and a close confidant of the Gandhi family, was posted as DGP Punjab. Even as Indira Gandhi was trying to reassure the people of Punjab that she was doing her best to restore peace in the state, terrorist activities continued unabated. On 12th of October 1983, an assistant superintendent of jails was beaten up by Bhidranwale's men in the Golden Temple. One of Bhidranwale's Sikh critics was shot dead in Jalandhar. A shop owned by a Hindu was looted. Within 2 weeks of governor's rule, the Kashmir Mail going to Kolkata was derailed while passing through Punjab. As a result, 19 passengers were killed and 129 injured. ये कश्मीर मेल नाम का कौन सा ट्रेन था? ऐसा तो कोई ट्रेन नहीं. जम्मू तवी एक्सप्रेस एक थी,
उसकी बात कर रहा है शायद.
हाँ. As a result, 13 passengers were killed and 129 injured. On 18th of November, another bus was hijacked and 4 Hindu passengers were shot dead. Simultaneously, friction was building between the highly demoralized Punjab police and the CRPF. The latter that is the CRPF, felt that the Punjab police were partisan and did not want to act against Sikh extremists. Within a couple of months of the imposition of president's rule in the state, even Congress MPs started expressing doubts about the efficacy of the government's weak need policy towards Punjab. During a debate in Parliament, members from both sides demanded the arrest of Bhidranwale. Bhidranwale, still living in Guru Nanak Niwas, now faced threats from two avenues. There was the fear of arrest by the police and a challenge from members of the Akhand Kirtani Jatha and the Babbar Khalsa, who had come to protect Longowal and other moderate Akali Dal leaders living in Guru Nanak Niwas from Bhidranwale's killer squad. The Akhand Kirtani Jatha was led by Bibi Amarjit Kaur, widow of Fauja Singh, who had died in the attack on the Nirankari Convention on 13th of April 1981. She would openly criticize Bhidranwale as a coward. The Babbar Khalsa, also a product of the Sikh anti-Nirankari movement, was fiercely anti-Bhidranwale too and well armed. Its leader, Sukhdev Singh, claimed that his group had killed 45 Nirankaris. Both Bibi Amarjit Kaur and Sukhdev Singh were strongly opposed to the murder of Hindus and to the violence unleashed by the cowards. Coward Bhidranwale in Punjab. Babbar Khalsa men entered Guru Nanak Niwas and ordered Bhidranwale's men to get out. While the latter claimed they did so on their own, the Babbar Khalsa claimed they had fled when threatened. Bhidranwale shifted to the safety of the Akal Takht on 15th of December 1983 with the help of the SGPC chairman G.S.
This
Tora,
was the stupidity of the Torah.
who was still nursing ambitions of becoming Chief Minister of Punjab, for which he was soliciting Bhidranwale's support.
ये
कुछ
सबसे
भी
बड़ा स्पीड आदमी था तेजवीर. ये जीएस टोरा है ना, अगर ये नहीं होता तो ये अकाल तख्त पे नहीं जाता था, भिंडरवाले अंदर नहीं घुसता था ये.
जी दादा, बिल्कुल.
इनको चीफ मिनिस्टर बनना था तो किसी भी हद तक जाने के लिए तैयार थे.
कितने चीफ सर, दरबारा सिंह चीफ मिनिस्टर था, जैल सिंह प्राइम प्रेसिडेंट बन गया, अब तो भी चीफ मिनिस्टर बनना है उसको, और ये भी चीफ मिनिस्टर बनना. लोंगोवाल को भी बनना था. लोंगोवाल गोली क्यों लगी? इस चक्कर में लगी. आगे पढ़ोगे मालूम पड़ेगा. देखो
Salman on the roof. Soon after shifting to the Akal Takht, Bhidranwale started holding his darbar congregation on the Langar roof, delivering sermons which were mostly anti-Hindu in content. Sometimes he would criticize Indira Gandhi by using derogatory names. His tape-recorded speeches spewing venom were freely available at shops and were actively distributed in villages unrestricted by the police. He and his posse of armed men would walk across the Akal Takht building to the Langar roof very casually, as if there was no fear of any action by security forces. Conscious of the fact that he was being criticized by many as an agent of the Congress party, Bhidranwale described his critics as power-hungry individuals out to destroy the unity of the Panth, synonymous with Sikhs as a religious group. He soon started demanding implementation of the Anandpur Sahib resolution in its entirety, favoring greater devolution of power to the states. He also exhorted every Sikh village to raise a group of 3 baptized motorcycle-riding Sikhs armed with revolvers.
दादा मुझे लगता है
जी
जब प्रेसिडेंट बन गया था जैल सिंह
जी,
उसके बाद में इसकी जो हिम्मत है ना और बढ़ गई थी कि अब क्या उखाड़ लेंगे मेरा.
तो सब लोग साथ दे रहे हैं ना, इनको लग रहा है कि साथ.
नॉट डायरेक्टली इन कांटेक्ट विद इंदिरा गांधी को वो फॉर द सेक ऑफ पैसे दिखाने के लिए गाली देता होगा.
हाँ.
ही वाज ड्राइंग पावर फ्रॉम डायरेक्टली फ्रॉम द फर्स्ट सिटीजन ऑफ इंडिया. तो उसे कोई वो नहीं था, बोला ठीक है कौन क्या करेगा मेरा. इसीलिए वहां पर अकाल तख्त में यहाँ वहां पर जितने भी वो आर्म्स थे उसके जो जत्थे वाले थे घूमते रहते थे आराम से. अब कोई किसी की हिम्मत नहीं करता, सबको मालूम था कि प्रेसिडेंट का आदमी है ये
जी. This last bit caused Longowal to issue a statement criticizing it and to Bhidranwale's call in general to Sikhs to support terrorism. Soon afterwards, on India's Republic Day, 26th of January 1984, the Khalistan flag was flown on a building close to the Golden Temple. To match Bhidranwale's utterances, Akali Dal leaders also demanded an amendment to Article 25 of the Indian Constitution, which mentioned that reference to Hindus included persons professing the Sikh, Jain, and Buddhist religions. This was neither a part of the Akali Dal's original demands nor a part of the Anandpur Sahib resolution. To up the ante, Akali Dal leaders announced that if their demand was not met, they would burn copies of the Indian constitution. They also decided to launch an agitation reviving their original demands. As a result, other than Longwal, senior Akali leaders, including Badal and Tora, were arrested and sent to jail. The Akali Dal called for a general strike on 8th of February 1984. Hindu shopkeepers in Punjab were forced to close their shops to prevent loss of life and property. The government cancelled all trains and air services to Punjab. To deal with the situation arising out of the general strike, Akali leaders were once again called for negotiations on 14th of February 1984, to which opposition leaders were also invited. On the same day, 6 policemen at a post near the Golden Temple were abducted by Bhidranwale's men. One of them was killed and the rest released after some time. Also on the same day, a general strike was called in Punjab by the Hindu Suraksha Samiti, Hindu Defense Committee, by its Patiala-based leader Pawan Kumar Sharma. Authors Mark Tully and Satish Jacob described Pawan Kumar as a young man with a criminal record, brought into politics by a Sikh Congress Indira Member of Parliament. Pawan Kumar also had close links with the Haryana Chief Minister, but according to G.S. Chawla, Seema Mustafa, then working for the Telegraph Calcutta, had visited Patiala and interviewed the mother of Pawan Kumar Sharma, who said that she did not understand why the Maharaja Patiala Amrinder Singh was spoiling her son. Amrinder Singh's car used to pick up Pawan Kumar Sharma. In the violence during that strike, 14 persons were killed, mostly Sikhs. As a result, Akali leaders walked out of the negotiations saying they would return to the talks only when peace returned to Punjab. Riots and more killings. Following the Hindu Suraksha Samiti led strike in Punjab, serious anti Sikh riots broke out in the neighboring state of Haryana, provoked by a speech by Chief Minister Bhidranwale at Faridabad, in which he warned that the patience of Hindus was running out and they could retaliate any time. A Gurudwara in Panipat was burnt down in the presence of the police. Sikhs were pulled out of buses and forcibly shaved, and Sikh-owned shops were looted. 8 Sikhs were clubbed to death. Considering the gravity of the situation, traffic on the main Grand Trunk Road had to be halted. The violence stopped as suddenly as it arose, which suggests that it was not quite as spontaneous as it appeared at first sight. Bhajan Lal had shown his strength, and Haryana's position was not ignored again. On 20th of March 1984, the president of the DSGMC, H.S. Manchanda, pro-Congress and a bitter critic of the Akali Dal Morcha, was shot dead in broad daylight at the busy ITO traffic crossing in Delhi. To deal with the worsening law and order situation, on 3rd of April, the whole of Punjab was declared a disturbed area, and the National Security Act was promulgated, giving powers to the police to detain people without producing them in court. The day this was done, a prominent member of the Bharatiya Janata Party, Bansilal Khanna, was killed at Amritsar. The next day, 4th of April, Vishwanath Tiwari, a professor at Punjab University and a member of the Rajya Sabha, was shot dead in Chandigarh while on a morning walk.
ये
On
मनीष तिवारी के
22nd,
पिताजी थे, मनीष तिवारी के पिताजी थे, जो कांग्रेस के लीडर है ना एमपी,
हाँ जानता हूँ जी.
उनके उनके पिताजी थे.
On 22nd of April, an Air Force officer was hacked to death in his home. On 26th of April, a young Sikh motorcycle rider shot a Hindu commission agent in Bhikiwind village in Amritsar district, and in another similar incident, a Hindu shopkeeper was shot in Samad Bhai village in Faridkot district. On 30th of April, former Deputy Superintendent of Police Bachan Singh, who had reportedly tortured Amrit Singh while he was in police custody, was shot dead along with his wife and daughter. On 12th of May, Romesh Chandar, son of late Lala Jagat Naran, was shot dead in Jalandhar.
ये भी
In the
बेचारे
2
मारे
months,
गए, उनका लड़का भी मारा गया ना.
in the 2 months of April and May 1984, at least 80 persons were killed and 107 injured in Bhidranwale-led extremist activities. Some Hindus started growing beards and wearing turbans to save their lives. The Hindu industrialists of Punjab started thinking of moving their businesses to the neighboring state of Haryana. By early March 1984, Bhidranwale's armed men were freely moving in the Golden Temple complex, and some of them had taken positions at vantage points in the nearby buildings and houses overlooking the complex. Gun positions around the Akal Takht were being prepared, and arms and ammunition were moving into the Akal Takht complex with the knowledge, if not connivance, of the officials of the Punjab government. Major General Zail Singh, who had played a significant role in the training of Mukti Bahini for their role in the liberation struggle of Bangladesh, but was subsequently dismissed on charges of corruption during his posting as divisional commander, also moved into the Akal Takht. He started preparing the defences around the Akal Takht in case of an attack on it. Bhidranwale's control over government machinery through fear can be gauged from the fact that the telephone exchange would handle on priority calls made by him and his men.
बाप रे.
Exchange को भी बोल दिया है कि इसका कॉल आएगा तो पहले इसी का लेना है. The final break between Bhidranwale and the Longwal-led Akali Dal was reached when Surinder Singh Sodhi, a member of Bhidranwale's killer squad, was killed on 14th of April, just outside the Golden Temple complex. Bhidranwale suspected the hand of the moderate Akali Dal leaders behind the killing. Soon, a couple, Surinder Singh Chinda and his girlfriend Baljit Kaur, were killed for their suspected involvement in Sandhu's murder. In an attempt to reassert his authority, Longowal called a meeting of senior Sikh leaders but found that 60 of the 140 persons who came to attend the meeting had walked over to Bhidranwale's side. One day before that meeting, Longwall had a long telephone talk with Indira Gandhi. He told her he had lost control of the situation and requested her to make some concessions to enable him to withdraw his morcha. The contents of that conversation were conveniently leaked to the press.
देखा.
The contents of the conversation were conveniently leaked to the press,
उफ.
further eroding his credibility. Only to erode his credibility. In desperation, Longwall contacted 5 head priests to issue a hukumnama edict to Bhidranwale to vacate the Akal Takht. Within days, Bhidranwale got 3 of his critics, including the former head Granthi of the Akal Takht, Gyani Pratap Singh, killed to instill terror among the 5 serving head priests. Meanwhile, Gurcharan Singh Tora and Prakash Singh Badal, who had been jailed for burning copies of the Indian Constitution, conveyed their agreement to the withdrawal of their morcha if only Chandigarh were to be transferred to Punjab, as opposed to the earlier stance of the centre of requiring the transfer of both Abohar and Fazilka in exchange to Haryana. The Prime Minister now agreed to the transfer of Abohar only through an award by a commission, the results of which would be guaranteed in advance. With that understanding, the charges of sedition against Tora and Badal were withdrawn and they were released from jail on 11th of May. The last round of talks was held on 26th of May and was conducted by External Affairs Minister P.V. Narasimha Rao and 2 others. 2 other cabinet ministers, with the help of the 3-member think tank, were T.N. Chaturvedi, who had now been replaced by M.M.K. Wali, the new Home Secretary. Tora, still hopeful of becoming Chief Minister, met Bhidranwale to get his approval of the agreement. But Bhidranwale insisted on acceptance of the Anandpur Sahib resolution in its full form. How these talks failed is described at the end of chapter 4. Amritmal Singh, who did not participate in the February talks, nor this latest round, explained his reasons for non-participation to Mark Ali as follows. Mrs. Gandhi's think tank. It was think tank was too bureaucratic in its attitude to the demands for river water and Chandigarh and did not understand the political pressure on the Akali leaders. With the last round of talks having failed on 26th of May 1984, Longwell announced a new program to intensify the Akali agitation starting from 3rd of June. This involved blocking transport of food grains from Punjab to other states, non-payment of taxes due to the government, and regular courting of arrest by Sikhs. It was now time for the One Akbar Road group to reap the bitter harvest, the seeds of which had been sown in 1980. But before dealing with the next stage, Operation Blue Star, there are a few issues which need to be explained to allow the reader to understand the developments in their correct perspective.
दादा बाप रे
Plot after plot after plot to keep the matter, keep the pot boiling.
लोग बाग इतना ज्यादा वो कर सकते हैं
कोई जान का भी कीमत नहीं है.
गद्दी 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 गद्दी. क्या टाइम हुआ? एक घंटा हो गया ना. आगे चलें.
चलिए.
इंटरेस्टिंग है. हेलीपैड वाला चक्कर है.
हाँ.
हैं हेलीबॉर्न वाला चक्कर है. उसमें देखेंगे.
हाँ.
पहले ये पढ़ लो.
My third visit to the US and Canada.
मैं इसको छोड़ देता हूँ. इसको छोड़ देता हूँ. ये वहाँ पे इंटेलिजेंस गदर करने गया था. पढ़ लिया था मैंने. ये देखो
जी.
अटवाल साहब मरे थे तो वहीं था ये. वहाँ पे पूरा इंफॉर्मेशन गदर कर रहा था कि वहाँ पे यूएसए में और कनाडा में क्या चल रहा है.
गिरीश चंद्र गैरी बन गया. बाप रे.
हाँ.
गिरीश चंद्र गैरी.
हाँ. गिरीश पांडे की बात कर रहे हो.
हाँ वही बोल रहा हूँ ना. उसको गैरी बना दिया.
पढ़ना है क्या इसको?
A disappointed diaspora.
पढ़ना है इसको? नहीं ये पढ़ना है क्या?
आप बोलेंगे तो पढ़ूंगा. नहीं तो आप बेहतर जानते.
मैंने तो पढ़ा हुआ है इसलिए मैं सोचता हूँ कि ये मतलब इट इज सुपरफ्लुअस के रॉ कैसे काम करता है.
नहीं ठीक है. कोई काम का चीज नहीं है तो छोड़ दीजिए.
ये पढ़ लो.
Yeah, I would like to sum up what I've gathered from my personal gatherings and phone conversations with my friends, contacts, and relatives during my 10 days in Canada and the US. All of them inquired as to what happened to their suggestions, which they had made during my first visit in December 1981, and which I mentioned in Chapter 3. They emphasized again their anguish at the continued irresponsible and biased coverage of Punjab by the Indian media, especially the vernacular press, which was fanning communalism in Punjab and widening the schism between Hindus and Sikhs in their respective countries too. They drew my attention towards the killing of innocent Hindus in Punjab and the Haryana police repression of Sikhs. They informed me that Gurudwaras in the US and Canada were increasingly coming under the control of hardline Sikhs. There was a total absence of institutional support from Indian missions in their respective areas or countries to help maintain cordial relations between Hindus and Sikhs. They were quite frank in saying that it seemed that Bhidranwale was being encouraged by some senior Congress leaders for political gains, which in turn was helping the pro-Khalistan elements in Canada and the US to attract Sikh youth towards their ideology.
Precisely यही कहना चाह रहा है कि even diaspora in USA and Canada were after the opinion that some senior Congress leaders are helping Bhidranwale. ऐसा करके है.
जी सर.
ये पढ़ो. A job done.
A job done. After spending a night in Toronto, I reached New York on the morning of 25th of September and checked into a hotel close to the upscale, well-equipped Hotel Helmsy Place on Madison Avenue, where the Prime Minister and a delegation would be staying. After spending 4 days, 20th to 24th September, on our state visits to Cyprus and Greece and making a brief stopover at Paris, on 25th of September, Indira Gandhi and a delegation reached John F. Kennedy Airport late in the evening. On 26th, Compared with the state visit of the previous year, the reception at the airport was a low-key affair. Only 2 Indian press reporters, including G.S. Chawla of the Indian Express, had accompanied her on the flight. Against a full complement of 3 senior IB officers in charge of her security the previous year, only one officer was in attendance this time. Ratan Singh Sahgal was his supporting staff. There was hardly any press coverage of her arrival on her activities during her entire stay in New York. Even a speech in the UNGA was not covered by the local press. Sometime after her arrival at the hotel, I got a copy of her York itinerary. In addition to a speech at the UNGA on 20th of September, she was to meet US President Ronald Reagan and chair two informal get-togethers of 24 leaders from non-aligned movement countries on 27th and 29th September. There were some press interviews as well. This time she made it a point to address US-based members of the Indian press whom she could not meet as a group during a previous visit. Also, there were the usual rounds of discussions with editors, dinners with a few groups and friends, addresses to prominent persons from the local Indian community, inauguration of a photo exhibition on Jawaharlal Nehru, visits to some shows and shopping. On the morning of 27th of September, I visited the General of India's office in New York to see if I could meet someone known to me there. On arrival, I saw that they had set up a control room there in connection with the Prime Minister's visit. In addition to meeting Indian High Commissioner in Canada, Sivaramakrishnan, who was who had also reached New York, I also ran into K.C. Singh, IPS 1974, who was posted in the CGI as head of Chancery and consul in charge of economic relations. We are both from Patiala and our families were known to each other. I had by that time seen through the game the one Akbar Road group was playing. I cryptically told Casey, these people are using Sikh officers to further their own interests. I told him he should be careful and not do anything which he would regret later. When he asked me to explain what I just said, I replied I would do that at an appropriate at an appropriate time in the future. K.C. Singh later served as India's ambassador to the UAE and Iran and retired as secretary in the Ministry of External Affairs. We would meet at the Delhi Golf Club often, but I only got around to speaking to him at length on the phone on 26th of May 2020, specifically to know more about his experience of working as Deputy Secretary with President Zail Singh during the November 1984 anti-Sikh pogrom in Delhi. He still he still remembered what I told him at New York in September 1983. During Indira Gandhi's visit, I decided to hang around the hotel lobby and other venues while she met with the Indian press and persons of Indian origin.
पता है, एक मिनट रहने दो, छोड़ दो.
It was my time to return to India, as the Prime Minister's special aircraft was to leave in the forenoon of 2nd of October. I had booked my seat on an Air India flight from JFK the same afternoon. Fortunately, from our point of view, nothing of the sort that Gary had apprehended had happened. In fact, a few simple and friendly words spoken in an Urdu language were all that it took to convince the so-called hardline Khalistanis in front of the UN building to exercise restraint.
Hardi language.
Normally, I should have been happy about a task completed satisfactorily, but throughout my return flight, I was so tormented with the recollection of my interactions with my Sikh friends and contacts during the trip. What I actually was I actually doing something that was against the national interest? If so, should I continue serving the vested interests of some persons, even at the cost of the larger interests of the nation? If not, how should I tell Gary to take me off such assignments in future? Would he mind, and what would be the consequences of that? By the time By the time I
निखिल आ रहे थे इसलिए मैंने
हाँ जी नहीं कोई बात नहीं नमस्कार जी
प्लेन लैंडेड इन न्यू दिल्ली
हाँ
जय श्री राम।
जय श्री राम plane landed in New Delhi. I had made up my mind, irrespective of the consequences. I would tell Gary that I would no longer like to be associated with any work or operation related to the ongoing developments in Punjab and request him to relieve me of the charge of the two top secret and sensitive divisions to avoid meeting him almost daily, sometimes more than once. I called on Gary the first thing next morning to apprise him of my activities during the visit. As soon as I entered his room, he stood up, shook hands with me, and congratulated me for a job well done. Now get ready to move to Bangkok. As head of the raw station there, he told me. I thanked Gary for his appreciation, but politely said, Sir, I'm not going anywhere. I think I think something terrible is going to happen before the end of next year, and I would like to be in India at that time. Sir, I continued, I don't want to be associated with anything which serves the interest of one person, one party, or one family, which has the potential of shaking the foundations of the country. In view of that, please relieve me from my present posts and commitment to special assignments and post me to an analysis division. Gary was surprised, if not shocked, at this completely unexpected response to his words of appreciation. In the normal course, no one sought to be transferred from high profile and sought after divisions to a nondescript analysis division, and neither to decline an attractive posting to head an important station of the RAW in Southeast Asia. No one in his normal frame of mind was supposed to blame the policies followed by the Prime Minister. And to special अच्छा and that too one of Indira Gandhi's stature, as reasons thereof. Gary sensed that what I had just told him was not simply an emotional outburst, but was based on my knowledge of certain facts, which he wanted to avoid discussing further. I was, however, confident that Gary had enough faith in me to also believe what I would not divulge, what I had just told him to anyone else outside his room. But from his expression, I could sense that what he wanted to tell me was that while I could say anything of the sort I had said to him and get away with it, if he had to say something similar to the Prime Minister, he should be carrying his resignation letter in his pocket and be prepared for harsh consequences. Instead, absolutely calm and composed, he told me that it would take him some time to find my replacements for the two divisions, and until then, I should continue with my work as usual. I did not say anything about Punjab related assignments, but it was implied that I would not be associated with anything like that in future. There was no doubt that while subsequently briefing Kao about my visit to the US and Canada, Gary would have informed him of what I had said that morning. Kao, who had closely supervised my Sikkim operation 1973 to 75 as secretary, knew that I would not say what I had without any basis. Besides, as senior advisor, besides as senior advisor to the Prime Minister since August 1981, he was fully aware of what was happening at the decision-making level and knew who were influencing Indira Gandhi's decisions. His advice to Gary might have been to allow me a respite from such activities. When I met Gary the next day in connection with some official work, things were normal, and he gave me the impression that nothing had happened the previous day. I was finally relieved of my two charges sometime in November 1983 and posted as deputy director in charge of an analysis division covering covering a fairly large area, of which Sri Lanka was an important part. That was the time when Sri Lanka was recovering from anti-Tamil riots that had caused the death of approximately 4,000 Tamils across that country in retaliation for the killing of 13 Sri Lankan soldiers by the LTT in an ambush at Jaffna on 23rd of July 1983. That, in fact, marked the beginning of prolonged and fierce hostilities between the LTT, other Sri Lankan Tamil militant groups such as the People's Liberation Organization of Tamil Elam, PLOT, Elam People's Revolutionary Liberation Front, EPRLF, and students EROS on the other side, and the Sri Lankan security forces on the other. There was an interesting incident that needs to be recounted here. At an official dinner a few months after taking over the new charge, Gary walked over to where my wife and I were standing. Addressing my wife, Gary said, "Bali, do you know that your dear husband is the Bhidranwale of Raw?" To which Bali replied, "Mr. Saxena, I cannot imagine GB, my nickname, doing anything anti-national." To which he significantly remarked, "That is the problem." The tone of Gary's conversation with Bali was akin to that of a man who might be telling his younger brother's wife about her husband's behavior, either in appreciation of his courage or in exasperation of his sheer stupidity. Which of the two was applicable in this case? Gary left it to Bali's to guess. My relations with Gary continued to be excellent even after retirement, but we could not stay in regular contact with each other. Vikram Sood, former Secretary Raw, had settled in Gurugram after his retirement. We were in regular touch on the phone and at occasional dinners and luncheons hosted by members of a group of senior retired officers living in Gurugram. Having served with Gary at an important Raw station in the West, Vikram had continued to remain in regular touch with Gary even after his retirement. Vikram is one of the very few persons with whom I have shared some of my experiences of the 1980s relating to Punjab. I had been thinking of seeking out Gary for some time in order to discuss why I had said what I did on my return from New York in September 1983. In that context, I suggested to Vikram that we should both call Gary one day and that I should share with Gary my knowledge of Operation 2. Unfortunately, that didn't happen due to my wife's indisposition. When she passed away in January 2017, Gary was in Goa. Though he was unwell himself, he called me to convey his condolences on Bali's demise. He mentioned that it was the turn of persons like me to go, not Bali. Unfortunately, Gary did not live for very long after that and passed away within 3 months of my wife's death. The aborted Helibone Commando operation.
यहीं पे बंद कर देते हैं, इसके आगे नहीं जाते हम लोग।
जी सर।
क्योंकि ये जो अबॉर्टेड हेलीबॉर्न है ना, ये ब्लू स्टार ऑफिसर के साथ पढ़ा जाएगा तो अच्छा रहेगा।
जी सर।
तो इसको छोड़ देते हैं, यहीं पे बंद करते हैं, पब्लिक को डिस्कस करने दो। नाउ इट इज एज क्लियर एज डे लाइट दैट देयर वाज अ ग्रुप व्हिच इज कॉल्ड वन अकबर रोड ग्रुप इंक्लूडिंग प्रेसिडेंट जैल सिंह हु वाज बिहाइंड ऑल दिस थिंग्स। तो ये सरदार जो है ना, जो राष्ट्रपति भवन में बैठा हुआ था, इसके भी हाथ जो है खून से रंगे हुए हैं।
जी जी।
It should be known to everybody. ये अपना खुद का सर्विस का एक्सपीरियंस बता रहा है, इसमें कोई ऐसे झूठ नहीं बोला होगा।
नहीं, झूठ बोलना सर छोड़ेगा कोई, बताइए। और भी लोग तो हैं कोरबोरेट करने के लिए, जैसे विक्रम सूद है, सब लोग हैं। तो रॉ का तो सब ऑफिसर अभी भी है।
हाँ, एक वही है, वो कौन सा है जो राहुल गांधी की चमचागिरी करता रहता है, वो
कौन सा सर? एक
जय
तो
दुल्हन, जय दुल्हन।
हाँ हाँ
उसको छोड़ दो, बाकी सबके सब ये एक लाइन में
बाकी,
होंगे।
हाँ बाकी
वो हरामी
ठीक है।
वाला तरीके का होगा।
हम्म।
ये बाहर जो है ना लॉन मोवर आया हुआ है, तो यहाँ पे आवाज आ रही है, तो आप लोग बाहर काम करो, मैं म्यूट कर जाता हूँ, थोड़ा देखता हूँ बाहर, है ना।
जी सर।
दादा ज्ञानी ज़ैल सिंह की इन्वॉल्वमेंट में तो ये कहूँगा, पहले तो सबको प्रणाम।
प्रणाम।
ज्ञानी ज़ैल सिंह का तो ये कहूँगा कि जब उसे पता था कि ऑपरेशन ब्लू स्टार होने वाला है,
सर
और
उसके
सब
पहले से नहीं सर, उसके पहले से ही इन्वॉल्व थे। पूरा ये जितना प्लानिंग चल रहा था उनके सुपरविजन में, उनके नॉलेज में सारा चीज।
नहीं, ज्ञानी ज़ैल सिंह को व्हाट आई एम ट्राइंग टू से कि ज्ञानी ज़ैल सिंह की इन्वॉल्वमेंट तो इसलिए पता चलती है कि जब आपको पता है कि ऑपरेशन ब्लू स्टार हो रहा है, चाहे आप उसमें है नहीं है। मैं अभी एक दूसरे सिनेरियो आई एम ट्राइंग टू पेंट।
अच्छा
आपने मॉरल ग्राउंड्स पे रेजिग्नेशन क्यों नहीं दिया? यू आर अ सिख और वो आपके होली श्राइन को अटैक करने वाले
नहीं,
हैं।
मॉरल ग्राउंड्स क्या मतलब, प्लानिंग पूरा उनके सुपरविजन में ये चीज हुआ है सर, पहले से ही।
पहले से ना,
सिलेक्शन ऑफ भिंद्रनवाले, व्हाटएवर ही वाज डूइंग,
मैं तो
was
दूसरे
all
एंगल
with his knowledge.
या
तो
मैं तो
ऑपरेशन
दूसरा
ब्लू स्टार तो
एंगल
बाद में हुआ, मतलब टू एलिमिनेट, टू पुट ब्लेम ऑन Sikhs, kill them and eliminate Bhidranwale when he became too difficult to control. तब तो ऑपरेशन ब्लू स्टार हुआ ना। मैं बोल रहा हूँ कि जब देख रहा है कि कोई गलत कर रहा है, तो he should have resigned on the very first day on moral grounds. Had not wished to continue as chief minister or whatever, or continue in any position or be associated with the Congress for that matter.
I think he was the president of the country at that time.
No.
Is it?
Before that, before he was the president, he knew about all these things.
Yeah.
ये तो बाद का बात, हम लोग प्रेसिडेंट तो बाद में बने ना, उसके पहले से ही मतलब he was involved. If you read the book in the beginning, he knew everything from the very beginning. From day one, he knew everything. It's not that he didn't know anything. That is why PB sir was saying that this person is responsible for the whole thing. क्यों सर गलत बोल रहा हूँ?
अरे
ज्ञानी
बहुत
ज़ैल,
डार्क साइड है, बहुत
अरे
डार्क साइड है। इसके लिए तो इसका
नहीं,
एक वर्ड में पढ़ाने को बोलता हूँ कि पढ़ो, मैंने पूरा
नहीं,
पढ़ लिया इसको।
नहीं, जय भारती सर का क्वेश्चन था कि ऑपरेशन ब्लू स्टार होने वाला था, ज्ञानी ज़ैल सिंह जी को पता था, प्रेसिडेंट थे, और रिजाइन क्यों नहीं किए? मैं बोल रहा हूँ जो आदमी को पहले डे वन से मालूम है क्या हो रहा है, तो ब्लू स्टार तक आने
78 में जब निरंकारी गुरु को मारा गया था, उस समय भी उसका इन्वॉल्वमेंट था।
उसी समय से पूरा उनके नॉलेज।
राष्ट्रपति बन के बैठ गए, तुम तभी भी तुम्हारे को पंजाब का चीफ मिनिस्टर बनने में इंटरेस्ट है, दरबारा सिंह को चीफ मिनिस्टर बनने में इंटरेस्ट है, गुरशरण सिंह चौरा को चीफ
सर
मिनिस्टर
उसके भी पहले, राष्ट्रपति बनने के पहले भी मतलब उनको सारा चीज पता था कि क्या क्या प्लान चल रहा है।
नहीं, जय भारती साहब ने देखा नहीं होगा, बंसीलाल, संजय गांधी, कमलनाथ और जैल सिंह, इंदिरा गांधी, 5 जनों का कॉकस था।
5 जन,
प्लानिंग ऑल द थिंग्स।
हाँ 5 जन का पूरा मतलब, वो क्या बोलूं, हम लोग अभी जो क्रिमिनल लॉ में डिस्कस कर रहे थे,
कॉन्स्पिरेसी,
क्रिमिनल कॉन्स्पिरेसी
34
इन फर्दरेंस ऑफ अ कॉमन इंटेंशन।
and they were not ready to finish it. They wanted to carry it out up to 1985 January
to keep the pot boiling.
Yes.
खत्म हो रहा था कहीं कहीं, फिर उसको मतलब कोई घटना कांड करवा के एक्सटेंड करवाया गया फिर।
हाँ।
कि और आगे चले बेवकूफ बना के सबको। और
मुझे तो लगता है वे पक्की बात है कि सिक्स अकाली जो था ना, अकाली जो थे, they were not in loop. They were playing at the whims and fancy of Indira. Zail Singh was in loop. Even this government would have been in loop, but Longowal and other were not in loop. That's why they were playing as per the जो भी ये खिलाती थे उस तरीके से खेलते थे वो लोग.
That was clear from what we were reading.
दादा एक क्वेश्चन इसमें से निकल के आता है कि पॉलिटिकल इंटरेस्ट के अलावा, सेल्फ इंटरेस्ट के अलावा, क्या इनके फंडिंग इंटरेस्ट भी थे? बाहर से जो फंडिंग हो रही थी, जो CIA करता था और ये करता था इनका, ISI वगैरह, इनकी फंडिंग के भी इनके इंटरेस्ट थे क्या?
नहीं, फंडिंग इन द सेंस कि देखो क्या होता है कि टॉप लेवल पे जब गवर्नमेंट में जब काम करो तो मालूम पड़ता है कि अगर इंदिरा जी को इंटरेस्ट है दैट पंजाब शुड बर्न, तो जियाउल हक विल ऑब्वियसली फंड एंड इंदिरा विल नॉट टेक एनी इंटरेस्ट.
ISI took up the burden later, लेकिन पहले क्या हम लोग पढ़ रहे थे क्या कि एक प्रॉब्लम को क्रिएट किया जाए और पब्लिक को दिखाया जाए वोट के चक्कर में कि देखो ये आदमी खतरनाक था, इसको हम लोग मार दिए. फिर एक
नहीं दादा,
प्रॉब्लम
ये
खड़ा करके
पॉलिसी तो इनकी 71 में ही बन गई थी ना, जब ये वॉर
उनको
हारे थे,
जी जी
ISI
जी
हारा, पाकिस्तान
जी
हारा था, पॉलिसी तो ये उसी टाइम बन गई थी. तो वो इसीलिए मैं पूछ रहा हूँ, क्या इनके जो है फंडिंग इंटरेस्ट भी थे पॉलिटिकल इंटरेस्ट के अलावा?
71 की लड़ाई जब हारे थे तो उस समय वहां पर जुल्फकार अली भुट्टो आया था, वहां पर याहिया खान को हटा करके जुल्फकार अली भुट्टो आया था, नया कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन आया था. लेकिन जो 79 में जब जियाउल हक साहब ने अपना 77 में जब उसको जुल्फकार अली भुट्टो को हटा करके और 79 में जो रशियन फोर्सेस आया ना वहां से और उसका जो पैसा मिलना शुरू हुआ, तो दैट पैसा वाज with tacit support from CIA and American government also कि इसमें से कुछ पैसा तुम डाइवर्ट कर देना पंजाब की तरफ.
तो ये मतलब ये है कि इनके पॉलिटिकल इंटरेस्ट है, बाद में जो है क्योंकि दूसरे भी स्टेक होल्डर्स इसमें शामिल हो गए तो फाइनेंशियल इंटरेस्ट भी इनको मिलने लगा.
हाँ, नहीं, जब गवर्नमेंट चाहती है कि हाँ भाई ठीक है 85 तक किसी तरीके से चलते रहना चाहिए तो वो गवर्नमेंट भी फैसिलिटेट करेगी ना. अभी देखो रॉ ऑफिसर खुद बोल रहा है ना, वो गौरी को बोल रहा है, गिरीश चंद्र सक्सेना को बोल रहा है कि सब
मैं काम नहीं करूंगा,
मुझे नहीं फंसना,
काम नहीं करूंगा,
मुझे नौकरी नहीं करनी, बिकॉज ही वाज नोइंग व्हाट इज हैपनिंग.
उसका बॉस सोच रहा है कि या तो बेवकूफ होगा नहीं तो मतलब
उसको बीबी के सामने खींच रहा है उसको. भिंडरवाले ऑफ रॉ, ये हालत है. वेरी पैथेटिक, बहुत बुरा हाल था. मैं तो इस ऑल अलोंग 83 84 में दिल्ली में रहा हूँ, अपना जय भारती साहब तो वहीं पैदा ही हुए थे. बाप रे, इट वाज सो, डर लगता था यार कि बस में चढ़ेंगे तो पता लगा बस उड़ जाएगी कहीं पर भी, सिनेमा देखने जाएंगे तो पता लगा सिनेमा के नीचे कहीं बम रखा हुआ पड़ जाएगा. ये हालत था.
ठीक कह रहे हो दादा, हम देखा करते थे जब कोई सिख उतरता था बस से, स्पेशली सर्दियों के दिनों में ना, वो बड़े बड़े वो कंबल डाल के. मैं भी जब भी ट्रैवल किया देखा, लोग देखते थे क्या सीट के नीचे कुछ छोड़ तो नहीं गए, क्योंकि हुआ ना ट्रांजिस्टर बम हुए, ब्रीफकेस बम हुए, साइकिल्स के बम हुए, तो ऐसे हुआ
देखिए
ना.
नॉर्मल सिख को तो ये सब पता ही नहीं था.
हाँ, तो ये सारे पंजाब से जो आए ना वो लगते अलग थे, मतलब आपको लगते थे कि यार ये दिल्ली वाले सरदार नहीं है. तो और एक बात और भी उस टाइम पे हो गई थी कि जिस सिख ने दाढ़ी खोली वो सपोर्टर है, और वो आज भी वही है.
ये भी
80s में
बात
ट्रेंड
सही है,
शुरू हुआ था, ये
ये
80s
भी
में
बात
ट्रेंड
सही
शुरू
है.
हुआ था. हाँ
सर हमारे यहाँ मतलब जिस टाउन सिटी में मैं हूँ तो वहाँ लोग जो सर्विस में हम लोग दाढ़ी बांध के रखते हैं, लेकिन नॉर्मल जो लोग हैं जो मतलब जिनका रेस्टोरेंट है या मतलब कोई ट्रांसपोर्ट का बिजनेस है ये है या कुछ है, उन लोग तो दाढ़ी खोल कर ही घूमते हैं, कपड़े भी उस तरह के पहनते हैं वो पाकिस्तानी जैसे. नहीं, एक होता ना कि नॉर्मल इंडियन कपड़ा, एक पाकिस्तानी कट देखिएगा अलग होता है,
अलग होता है.
सलवार का जो कट अलग होता है उसका, कुछ
ठीक है
ज़्यादा ढीला होता है वो. इंडिया में हम लोग पैजामा टाइप का पहनते हैं ना, वो ठीक है, वो हमारे यहाँ हम वी आर यूज्ड टू सीइंग दैट, लेकिन वो पाकिस्तानी टाइप का कट ऊपर का कुर्ते का और नीचे का पैजामे का देखने से डर तो अभी भी लगता है. कुछ देर के लिए आदमी पीछे हो जाता है. अच्छा, दे आर टॉल एंड बर्ली आल्सो.
हाँ,
तो
वो तो है, तो जेनेटिक्स है उनका, वो तो दे आर टॉल एंड ब्रॉड, तो नो डाउट.
हाँ,
लेकिन
तो
अब
आदमी कुछ देर के लिए अगर इफ यू आर कन्फ्रंटेड विद अ पर्सन ऑफ दैट काइंड विद दैट पर्टिकुलर अटायर, तो थोड़ा सा तो लगता ही है कि फिर पीछे हो जाता है आदमी 2 सेकंड के लिए.
ठीक कह रहे हैं आप.
इसका वजह यही है, ये तो फॉर्मेट किया गया, ट्रबल बनवाया गया इसको This was a disease manufactured by the Congress.
दादा ये तो
अभी देखिए-
मणिपुर में जो हो रहा है, I have 100% ये सब मैन्युफैक्चर्ड है। ये इलेक्शंस आनी है, they had to do something.
पार्लियामेंट में देखिए, today I was surprised to know that each day's loss, if no work is done in the parliament, the government incurs a loss of 10 crores every day.
वो तो होने नहीं देंगे ना दादा, वो तो अब they wanted to create ये मैन्युफैक्चर्ड है ये मणिपुर का।
तो उनको तो पता है ना, इनका मेजोरिटी है, ये नो कॉन्फिडेंस मोशन जो लाया है, this will make them a laughing stock. What is the point in bringing it? That I also ran उस तरह का। आप तेज भागते हो, आपके साथ मैं नहीं सकूंगा, but still I want to participate in the race, knowing fully well that I'll be 1 kilometer behind you, making a fool of myself. पता नहीं इनका क्या मतलब थिंकिंग है।
रावण दादा शांत बैठे हुए हैं, क्या बात है?
शांत नहीं है, सुनता हूँ मैं।
अभी तबीयत
जय
कैसा
साहब
है?
किधर है? हाँ, धीरे धीरे ठीक हो रहा है। अभी भी कफ
अभी भी, हाँ,
सीना
अभी
से
भी,
गया नहीं।
हाँ, ये छाती में कोई कंजेशन है क्या आपका? चेस्ट में
कफ
कंजेशन है?
भरा हुआ है,
हाँ, वो समझ में आ रहा है आवाज से। हाँ, आवाज से
वो
समझ में आ
बलगम
रहा है।
नहीं बाहर आ रहा है।
थोड़ा वो ये
वो
सरसों का
बलगम
तेल एक थोड़ा सा एक पीस लहसुन उसमें गरम करके मालिश कीजिए ना, निकल जाएगा
किधर मालिश करेगा?
पूरा चेस्ट पे।
बलगम निकलेगा?
हाँ, देखिए करके। हल्का गरम होना चाहिए, एकदम गरम मतलब पूरा चेस्ट ही जल जाए ऐसा नहीं, हल्का मतलब गरम करने के बाद थोड़ा ठंडा कीजिए, उंगली डाल सकते हैं वैसा देख लीजिएगा, हल्का गरम रहना चाहिए। उसको मालिश करने से आपको अच्छा भी लगेगा,
जुकाम भी सही होगा उससे।
हाँ, और लहसुन का तो आप स्मेल बर्दाश्त कर सकते हैं ना, बहुत लोग नहीं कर सकते हैं। आप लोग खाते हो तो लहसुन?
नहीं खाते,
नहीं खाते हैं, तब ऐसे सरसों का तेल ही मसाज कीजिए ना थोड़ा।
ये भी लाना पड़ेगा, मस्टर्ड ऑयल ना?
हाँ, मस्टर्ड ऑयल। अच्छा,
ये
एक
भी लाना ही
मस्टर्ड
पड़ेगा।
सॉस,
हमारे
हमारा बंगाल में एक मस्टर्ड
घर
सॉस
में
आता है।
इस्तेमाल नहीं होता।
अच्छा, हमारे यहाँ बंगाल में एक मस्टर्ड सॉस आता है, ठीक है, वो खाने से भी मतलब जो है थोड़ा नाक वाक खुल जाता है सब।
दादा लेकिन कच्ची घानी लेना।
हाँ,
फिल्टर्ड नहीं, कच्ची घानी।
नहीं
अच्छा,
कच्ची
एम
घानी
साहब,
जी।
एम ये
बोलिए सर।
ये जो ये ऑटो क्या बोलते हैं, कॉन्फ्रेंस क्या बोला? आउट ऑफ कॉन्फ्रेंस क्या है?
कौन सा ऑटो
पार्लियामेंट
कॉन्फ्रेंस?
में
नहीं,
क्या हो गया?
नो कॉन्फिडेंस
नो
मोशन,
कॉन्फिडेंस
मतलब
मोशन।
हाँ
आस्था नहीं है सरकार के ऊपर, तो उसके लिए नंबर्स चाहिए ऑपोजिशन को, तो ऑपोजिशन
हाँ,
तो
वही मैं
वही।
बोल रहा हूँ, ये मैं हैरान हूँ, वो कैसा ये लोग
हैरान
आर्गुमेंट किया।
नहीं, आपको काम करने नहीं दूंगा ना, तो आपको काम करने नहीं दूंगा, प्लेकार्ड लेके घूमूंगा, नारेबाजी वहाँ होगी रोज, गाली दूंगा, ये सब करूंगा।
नहीं, वो करने के लिए भी वो कुछ कॉन्स्टिट्यूशनल कुछ ऑर्डर भी होना चाहिए ना, वो नहीं तो फिर ये लोग कैसा ऐसा ये क्लाइम करते हैं।
नहीं, किसका ऑर्डर चाहिए जब स्पीकर को मान नहीं रहा, किसी को मान नहीं रहा, स्कूल का बच्चा जैसा हरकत कर रहा है, किसको मानना है?
हमारे पैसे कुल मिला के बर्बाद कर रहे हैं ये।
वो तो कभी से चल रहा है, ये अभी से थोड़ी है। हर एक वो सेशन ऐसे वो चल रहा है।
ये स्कूल वाले ही
तो
अच्छे थे टीचर, जो शैतानी करता था पीछे से बाल पकड़ते थे और उठा लेते थे यूं करके। इनका भी वही हिसाब
नहीं,
किताब होना चाहिए।
अच्छा, ये चीज देख रहा हूँ, ये बीमारी सब जगह फैल रहा है, यूरोपियन सब पार्लियामेंट में भी फैल रहा है, सब जगह ये चीज धीरे धीरे फैल रहा है, ये गंदा चीज।
दादा लेफ्ट जो बाहर करते हैं वो अंदर करने लग गए हैं।
जी
बाहर जो मतलब उत्पात मचाना है अब वो अंदर कर रहे हैं, धीरे धीरे फिर वोकिज्म में घुस जाएंगे,
बिल्कुल।
अंदर ही मार पिटाई हुआ करेगी जैसे पाकिस्तान में कई बार हो जाती है।
50 साल से जो अमेरिका ने कम्युनिस्टों को जो सांप वो दूध पिलाया है ना, और जो
अब
पूरी
उसका
दुनिया में जो पूरी दुनिया में चाइना ने और रसिया ने जो जहर फैलाया है, उसका ही तो आज की डेट में हम फसल काट रहे हैं। अभी ये
और
बताओ,
वो
ये
दोनों मजे ले रहे हैं।
लगाने का मतलब क्या है इनका?
सिंह
जी सर।
साहब,
हाँ,
रशिया और चाइना में और मजा ले रहे हैं वो लोग।
अरे
नहीं
नहीं दादा, कोई मजे नहीं ले रहा,
रसिया
सबकी
को तो बजा दी है, रसिया का तो बुरा हाल कर दिया है। अभी चाइना का नंबर है, चाइना भी जाएगा कुछ दिनों में, ऐसा है।
नहीं नहीं
रशिया
नहीं, मेरा
खत्म
कहने का
नहीं होगा
मतलब
रशिया।
उनका उनका डोमा के अंदर कोई प्रॉब्लम नहीं ना, साइलेंट है ना, नहीं समझा?
हाँ तो उनके यहाँ बोलने का मौका ही नहीं देता ना।
यही मैं बोल रहे ना, वो लोग मजा ले रहे हैं, उनको उधर है कौन?
बोलने वाला
दुनिया
कोई
भर
रहेगा तब तो।
दुनिया भर में वो लोगों ने कम्युनिज्म को फैलाया, लेकिन ये दोनों कंट्री का इनका रशियन डोमा के अंदर ऑपोजिशन नहीं है, चाइना के पार्लियामेंट के अंदर भी ऑपोजिशन नहीं है, इसीलिए मैं बोला वो दोनों मजा ले रहे हैं।
हाँ हाँ वही।
कम्युनिज्म को वो लोग ने बेचा बाहर, आउटसोर्स कर दिया।
कोई नहीं दादा,
एक्चुअली ये
थोड़े
जो
दिन
गेम
मजे ले
खेल रहे
लेंगे।
थे, ये जो भी गेम खेल रहा होगा, चाहे वो जॉर्ज सोरेस खेल रहा होगा, चाहे कोई भी खेल रहा होगा, वो लोग मतलब ये लोग क्या करते हैं, थ्योरी पढ़ते हैं, बट प्रैक्टिकल इंडिया में क्या होने वाला है उसके बारे में कुछ सोचते नहीं है। समस्या
सर
ये है।
जॉर्ज सोरोस का हिस्ट्री आप थोड़ा सा देख लीजिएगा। ये आदमी खाली हाथ आया था, ठीक है, पढ़ने, तो पैसा कहाँ से आ गया? किसी ने तो उसको चूज किया होगा
जुआ
या
खेल
प्लांट
करके
किया
आया,
होगा।
जुआ खेल
नहीं नहीं,
करके आया, चीटिंग करके।
जुआ हुआ कुछ नहीं खेला, और पीछे फंडिंग करने वाला सब है।
दादा डीप स्टेट इंटरनेशनल है ना, नेक्सस डीप स्टेट्स का, वो इसको फंड प्रोवाइड करता, ना कि इसका अपना कुछ है। सिर्फ यूएस थोड़ी इसमें लगा हुआ है।
मेरा
आपका डीप स्टेट का फंडिंग आपका रिलायंस में भी है, भारत पेट्रोलियम में भी है, सब जगह है, शेयर खरीद के सब रखा हुआ है।
मेरा कहना यह है कि जो आज की डेट में जो कांग्रेस ने ये नो कॉन्फिडेंस मोशन मूव करने का सोचा है, what would have been their interest, like they are compelling the prime minister to come and attack them छत्तीसगढ़ और राजस्थान के ऊपर।
तो अच्छा है। तो
मैं तो वही बोल रहा हूँ ना कि ये इनको कौन बुद्धि देता है कि भाई तुम कर क्या रहे हो। अभी वो क्या बोल रहे थे भाई, 176 में तुम डिस्कशन करवा लो, शॉर्ट टर्म डिस्कशन कर चलता है। ये बोलते नहीं, हमारे को 267 में चाहिए, 267 में चाहिए, ये चाहिए वो चाहिए, हमको प्राइम मिनिस्टर के बिना नहीं चलेगा, प्राइम मिनिस्टर को आना पड़ेगा। मतलब
ठीक है।
कौन ऐसा बेवकूफ आदमी वर्ल्ड में बैठा हुआ है जो इनको ये एडवाइस देता है कि प्राइम मिनिस्टर को लेकर के आओ, नो कॉन्फिडेंस मोशन लेकर के आओ। अभी नो कॉन्फिडेंस से क्या होगा? प्राइम मिनिस्टर हैज टू डिफेंड हिज गवर्नमेंट कैबिनेट, नोबडी विल बी अलाउड, जिसका भी डिस्कशन चलता रहेगा, अल्टीमेटली तो वही वो करेगा, और वो इनके फिर धीरे धीरे करके बकिया उधर उगाड़ देगा पूरी पूरी।
वो एक मीम था ना सर, एक मीम था ना, मुझे मारो मारो करके, मुझे मारो।
अरे तुम कर्नाटका के इलेक्शन जीत गए हो बाय डिफॉल्ट, इसके मतलब थोड़ा था कि तुम बिल्कुल जहर मुतोगे, सिर पे बैठ करके पेशाब करोगे। कोई इनके अंदर अभी भी ये सोचते हैं कि हिंदुस्तान की जनता और पूरे वर्ल्ड की जनता जो है वो इंदिरा गांधी को देवता मानती है, सोनिया गांधी को देवता मानती है, और जवाहरलाल नेहरू को देवता मानती है। वही करे इनके साथ में।
दादा जूते पे रखते हैं हम लोग।
कोई तरीका है यार। 2018 में मादर चौथ साले, गाली दे रहा हूं मैं, ये साले हारे थे वहीं पे, नोट कॉन्फ्रेंस मोशन लेकर के आए थे। अब की बार क्या कर लेंगे ये लोग? 320 थी तो इनके पास में खुद 305 है ना शायद, 37 है, 307 है शायद बीजेपी वाले।
I.N.D.I.A देख लिए तो PFI में भी इंडिया है, मोदी साहब बोले इंडियन मुजाहिदीन में इंडिया है, सब में इंडिया है, उस तरह का। बाकी नहीं बोले।
फुल फॉर्म भी गलत बता रहा था, वो इंडिल बता रहा था, INDIL।
अरे 70% कांग्रेसियों से पूछ लो इसका फुल फॉर्म क्या होता है, बता देंगे तो मालूम पड़ जाएगा फिर। छोड़ो जाने दो, दैट इज ये मतलब
ये
सीधी
सुधरने
बात तो
वाला
ये,
नहीं है।
this party was formed by British and still has got the same DNA। इनके दिमाग में वही घुसा हुआ है कि हिंदुस्तान हमारा नहीं है और हमारे को कुछ भी जो भी करना है वो हिंदुस्तान के खिलाफ ही करना है।
सर ये डीप स्टेट में हाउस ऑफ विंडसर भी है, मतलब ब्रिटिश रॉयल फैमिली भी है, जो आपका नोट छापा था, नकली नोट जो नेपाल में छपवाया ना, नेपाल के थ्रू भेजा, सॉरी छपा तो बाहर,
ये तो डेलारू ने छापा था ना वो तो।
हाँ जी जी जी, मैं गलत बोला सर, आई स्टैंड करेक्टेड। तो नेपाल से भेजा, कौन भेजा? रॉयल फैमिली उसमें इन्वॉल्व था।
यस
इन लोग तो डीप स्टेट का पार्ट है।
पूरी फैमिली को उड़ा दिया ना।
जी जी जी, नहीं, ब्रिटिश रॉयल फैमिली स्टिल इन्वॉल्वड इन ऑल दिस, मेरा कहना है।
हाँ
डीप स्टेट मल्टीपल है ना, डीप स्टेट का भी तो नेक्सस है उसमें, यूके की रॉयल फैमिली से लेके आपका जितने भी एसेट मैनेजमेंट कंपनीज है बड़ी बड़ी,
हाँ पूरा
तो है उसमें।
ब्लैक रॉक है और कौन सा सब है ना, मेरी बेटी को सब मालूम है, ये भूल जाता हूँ मैं, इतना मेरे को याद नहीं रहता। वो सबका बोल रहा था इन्वेस्टमेंट है।
अच्छा,
हमारे इंडिया में भी
वैसे हुआ क्या आज इंडिया में नो कॉन्फिडेंस मोशन में हुआ क्या? 50 लोगों ने साइन कर दिया थे, एडमिट कर लिया।
ये तो पता नहीं सर, देखे आप लोग कोई देखे?
एनीबॉडी हैज गॉट द न्यूज़ कि एडमिट किया कि नहीं किया उसको?
किसको?
अरे नो कॉन्फिडेंस मोशन,
मतलब इट वाज लीगली वैलिड। 50 लोगों के साइन थे उसके अंदर, 50-51 लोगों के, और एडमिट किया उसको लोकसभा स्पीकर ने कि नहीं? क्योंकि आई कुड नॉट फाइंड एनी न्यूज़ रिगार्डिंग दैट।
कल होगा, नहीं तो कल होगा।
नहीं, उसके बाद में तो 10 दिन तक वो स्टडी करे ना, 10 दिन के बाद होता है ना, 10 दिन तो पार्लियामेंट आराम से चलती रहेगी ना।
ये वो भी तो चलना नहीं।
अभी तो इन्होंने बात ही बात करी, बाकी तो कोई न्यूज़ है नहीं।
स्पीकर हैज टू टेक अ डिसीजन विद इन 10 डेज। उसके बाद में फिर वो नो कॉन्फिडेंस में जो बहस होगी ना बाद में होगी। वो 10 दिन का टाइम तो मिल गया इनको शायद। अब ये बोल नहीं सकते कि हाँ भाई ठीक है पार्लियामेंट को एग्जॉर्न करो, ये करो वो करो, कॉन्फिडेंस मोशन तुमने डाल ही दिया है, नो कॉन्फिडेंस, चुप रहो, अब डिस्कशन करो आराम से।
कुछ नहीं ज्यादा, ये सिर्फ टाइम वेस्ट करने का वो है, बाकी इसमें होना जाना तो कुछ है नहीं।
कुछ नहीं,
सिर्फ टाइम जो है पब्लिक का टाइम खाना है।
चाचा ने और बाप ने और वो कौन है, दादा लोगों ने जो हमारा कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन बनाया है उसमें यही सत्यानाश किया है कि ठीक है भाई, अगर नो कॉन्फिडेंस आ रहा है तो आने दो। अभी ये बताओ, जिस समय वो 2008 में नो कॉन्फिडेंस मोशन आया था मनमोहन सिंह के खिलाफ, उसे कौन लेकर के आया था? जो उनको सपोर्ट कर रहे थे, कम्युनिस्ट। और उसमें फिर क्या हुआ, अमर सिंह ने रोल खेला और दुनिया भर को नोट कांड हुआ, ये हुआ वो हुआ। बाद में पार्लियामेंट के अंदर भी नोट ला करके रखा गया और ठीक है, नो कॉन्फिडेंस वो जीत गए आराम से मनमोहन सिंह। उसके बाद में क्या हुआ, किसी का कुछ हुआ क्या? कुछ नहीं हुआ।
सब खुराफाती आदमी कलकत्ते में बैठा रहता।
तो मारवाड़ियों गढ़ था ना वहां पर वो मारवाड़ियों
अमर सिंह भी तो वहीं का प्रोडक्ट है। अमर सिंह भी तो कलकत्ते का ही प्रोडक्ट है।
अरे टाटा बिरला, ये जितने भी बड़े बड़े हैं, इन लोगों ने क्या किया है? ड्रग का, अफीम का धंधा करके तो बड़े बड़े बने हैं लोग सारे के सारे। वहीं पे तो राजस्थान के जितने मारवाड़ी थे वो कलकत्ता में जाके कोई बसते थे, यही तो करने के लिए बैठते थे। और इवन सम पॉलिटिशियन फैमिली वर आल्सो इन्वॉल्वड इन ड्रग्स ना।
जी 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 जी।
चलिए दादा, मैं आज्ञा लेता हूँ।
हाँ जी।
अरे सबके सब आज्ञा लेते हैं, सबके सब नोटबुक करते हैं। तो 5-6 मिनट 151 हो गए, थोड़ी देर में बंद कर।
ठीक
और
है।
कैसे हाल है? सब ठीक है भाई साहब के?
नहीं, चल रहा है उनकी अभी ट्रीटमेंट। वो तो अब लाइफ, क्वालिटी ऑफ लाइफ तो बिल्कुल नीचे आ गई उनकी।
बात कर रहे हैं तो आपके साथ?
हाँ, बात हो रही है, चलते हैं। मैं पेस मेकर लगा है, हार्ट 60% की कैपेसिटी पे चल रहा है, तो दादा वो वैसे रहेगा। तो
बहुत ही मतलब
ठीक है, आप निकल लो, ज्यादा चलेगा फिर आपको। ठीक है। फिर मिलते हैं।
चलिए दादा,
टेक केयर, टेक केयर, टेक केयर।
अगली अगली स्ट्रीम में सबको मिलता हूँ। प्रणाम।
जी जी प्रणाम सर,
प्रणाम दादा।
प्रदीप, तेरे से मैं मिलूंगा जाने से पहले, ठीक है? कोऑर्डिनेट
ठीक है
करूंगा,
दादा,
ठीक है?
ठीक
ओके।
है।
और कुछ कहना है? बंद करूं?
निखिल भाई कुछ कहना है? वावन दादा,
सब
तेजवीर भाई।
रावण दादा, आप जो घर में थोड़ा शहद रखा होगा, तो गुनगुने पानी में शहद मिला के और उसमें जो जिंजर होता है, अदरक, उसको थोड़ा उसका रस चिंगम जैसा चबा के थोड़ा 1 गिलास पीना अभी 2-4 दिन, तो आपको गले में थोड़ा अच्छा लग जाएगा, कफ में प्रॉब्लम। और एक थोड़ा क्वेश्चन भी आता है कि ऑडिट तो किया हमने और हमने समझा भी है, पर अब जितने जो हमारे पैट्रियट्स हैं, जो देश के लिए सिंसियर हैं, समझदार हैं, उन्हें अब इन लोगों को हटाने के लिए आवश्यकता करना चाहिए। कुछ इतने सारे दुनिया भर के लोकपाल के लिए पूरा देश इकट्ठा हो गया था, अपने स्वार्थ के लिए बहुत इकट्ठा हो जाते हो। अपने देश के इतिहास को ठीक करने के लिए और देश के नासूर को हटाने के लिए भी देश को एकजुट होना चाहिए और ये गंदगी को हटाना चाहिए। किसी भी कंट्री के लिए इस चरित्र के नेता, राजनेता अगर अतीत में हुए हो ठीक है, और भविष्य में भी उनको लीड किया जाए तो ये हमारी सोसाइटी को कोई सही गति नहीं देगा, इन्हें हटाना चाहिए, यही मेरा मत है। धन्यवाद।
जी बिल्कुल सही बोल रहे हैं। अच्छा, ये दिल्ली में पानी का क्या प्रॉब्लम हुआ? गंदा पानी आ रहा है, बोलता आरओ वाटर सप्लाई करेंगे, जबकि कुछ दिन पहले सुप्रीम कोर्ट ने झाड़ा कि आप लोग एडवर्टीजमेंट में इतना खर्चा करते हो, और ये मोनोरेल प्रोजेक्ट जो था वो कौन सा, उसमें पैसे नहीं दे रहे हो।
आरआरटीएस था।
जी जी जी, रैपिड रेल ट्रांसपोर्ट ना, रैपिड रेल ट्रांसपोर्ट,
ट्रांसमिशन सिस्टम शायद।
अच्छा ट्रांसमिशन सिस्टम, मतलब मोनोरेल टाइप का ही होगा कुछ।
हाँ, मेरठ वाले का जो था ना, मेरठ वाले में इसने इसको बना लिया था, उसमें कुछ पैसा दिया था। जो सोनीपत और भिवाड़ी के लिए बन रहा है ना इधर,
जी जी,
और इसके लिए यहाँ का है ना, राजस्थान में कोई इलाका है उसके लिए।
तो आम आदमी पार्टी के पास पैसे नहीं है।
नहीं पैसे हैं तो अब तो देखिए ना कि साल भर में 1100 करोड़ रुपया खर्चा करता है। तो उसने बोला ठीक है, 1/3 जो होता है 1/3 तुम इधर दो।
अरे एक एक दिन में 1 करोड़ जाता था उन लोगों का, एवरी डे 1 करोड़ ऑन एडवर्टीजमेंट ईच डे। अब बेशरम लोग बैठे हुए हैं, क्या बोले। आरओ वाटर
something should be done to change the entire टेक्स्ट बुक ऑफ जूनियर स्कूल वाला जो है ना, 6 से लेकर के 8 तक की जो है ना, सारी बुक को चेंज कर देना चाहिए। और इसमें ये जो ऑपरेशन बुल स्टार का जो रियल जो लिख रहा है ना सिद्धू, ये लाना चाहिए वहां पर, पब्लिक को मालूम पड़ना चाहिए कि इन बेवकूफों ने कितना नाटक किया। हजारों लोगों को मरवा दिया यार, एक बंदी को प्रधानमंत्री बने रहने के लिए।
जी, अब जो कर रहा है ये काम मारने मरवाने का, उसको लग रहा है मैं सही कर रहा हूँ काम, ऐसा ब्रेन वॉश किया गया, बताइए।
यस।
तो सर उसको रिवॉर्ड भी तो दिया इनने, कमलनाथ अभी बन गया था सीएम मध्य प्रदेश का, इतना सब होने के बाद भी जनता भी तो अपनी सुधर नहीं रही है। वो तो भाग्य से अमित शाह जी
दादा
ने
ये
थोड़ा,
कंटिन्यू जारी है।
जी जी,
और
ये
आप
तो जारी है ना अभी भी, ये मणिपुर इसकी उदाहरण है, एक
हाँ
जिंदा उदाहरण है।
कंटिन्यू है ये सब।
मणिपुर में ड्रग है आपका, ये क्रिश्चियन लॉबी है जिसके साथ कांग्रेस एसोसिएटेड है।
हाँ,
कुकीज के ऊपर जो अटैक हुआ तो यूरोपियन को और ब्रिटिश को तकलीफ हो गई।
हाँ, तो ये इन लोगों ने बोला है ना कि वेटिकन को बताओ, इसको बताओ, उसको बताओ।
आप ये एक बात बताता हूँ दादा, आपको पता लगेगा, शौक लगेगा। पालघर में जो साधु की घटना हुई थी वो, और उस घटना के प्रति जब यूएस में ही कुछ लोगों ने बात की थी, तो आपको झटका लगेगा कि वहां के लोगों को अपने भारत के अंदर एक वो दारा सिंह वाला जो केस हुआ था, वो इवेंट ऐसा मेमोराइज है कि वो उसको बोल रहे थे कि ना इनके साथ ऐसा हुआ था इसलिए इनके अगेंस्ट ऐसा किया जा रहा है। मतलब वेस्ट मशीनरी नो एवरीथिंग व्हाट इज हैपनिंग इनसाइड
तो
भारत, व्हाट दे आर
सॉरी,
एग्जीक्यूटिंग और उसका
एक्चुअली
नैरेटिव बना रहे हैं।
नहीं, सॉरी टू से कि ये बीजेपी का अपना कोई मशीनरी नहीं है।
नहीं वेस्ट मशीनरी बोला मैंने, वेस्ट
नहीं
मशीनरी।
नहीं नहीं, मैं बीजेपी का बोल रहा हूँ, काउंटर करने का
हाँ,
कोई मशीनरी नहीं है। मैं
बीजेपी
इच्छा
अभी
इन लोग
सत्याग्रह पे चल रही है, बीजेपी अभी सत्याग्रह का ही लेके चल रहे हैं उनको,
तो मरेगा फिर।
बहुत सत्याग्रह
बीजेपी में
लेके।
वही है, बस एक स्ट्रांग है, उसी के दम पे सब चल रहा है। वही जो दिमाग लगाए लगाए, नीचे वालों को कुछ लगाना नहीं है
नीचे
और
वाले
नीचे
स्वार्थ
वालों को कुछ
बहुत
करना
है।
भी नहीं है।
हाँ,
नहीं तो एक
नीचे वाले
स्ट्रांग जो है वो भी चुप क्यों बैठा है?
एक ही कौन सा एक ही आदमी कर भी क्या लेगा, सारी चीजें वही थोड़ी
सब
पलटेगा।
चीज बोलता पीएम उसे अप्रूव होता है, होम मिनिस्ट्री अप्रूव करता है।
जी दादा, पीएम करना तो
दादा
उसको
बंद करते
जो
हैं
है।
स्क्रीन को, बाद में बात करते रहते हैं पीछे पीछे, 2
ठीक है
घंटा हो
दादा,
गया। हाँ।
जी दादा।
ठीक है।
अगला
तो
अगला इसका इसी का अगला पार्ट हम लोग फिर से लेकर के आएंगे। अभी इसको इंटरेस्टिंग है पूरा पूरा, आई विल नॉट लीव अ सिंगल वर्ड आउट ऑफ इट। इस
जी
बुक
जी,
का बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट है ये।
तो ठीक है, अगर
जी
आज का स्ट्रीम लोगों को पसंद आया, हमारे दर्शकों को पसंद आया, तो कृपया इसे लाइक करें, शेयर करें, सब्सक्राइब करें।
अगर मत लगाओ,
ब-
जिसको देखना है देखेगा, नहीं देखना है ना देखे, ऐसी तैसी करे, हमारे क्या करने का है। और तो
जी
दारू पी करके सो जाए आराम से, ज्यादा अच्छा रहेगा। नहीं तो जाके किसी वो साहिल के चैनल में जाके बैठे वहां पे कुछ क्या आदम सीकर की बातें करें। जिसको अपना नॉलेज बढ़ाना है वो देखे। अगर मत बोला करो, अब मैंने बंद कर दिया अगर बोलना, अगर अच्छा लगे तो तुमको सब्सक्राइब
ठीक
करना है
है,
सब्सक्राइब करना है, नहीं तो जाकर ऐसे ऐसी ठीक करो अपनी, कोई मतलब नहीं है।
ठीक है। तो नॉलेज बेस बढ़ाने के लिए इसे अवश्य देखें।
हाँ यार, इतनी इंपॉर्टेंट चीजें आती है, लोग बाग 5-5 6 लोग आते हैं, कोई बात होती है, इनको वही चाहिए होता है कि हाँ रंडी नाच चलता रहे शाम के बैठ करके, ज्यादा अच्छा रहेगा वो। घटिया
एम
लोग।
साहब, एम
जी सर।
साहब नहीं, सिंह साहब, सिंह साहब, दो दो, 2 दिन
क्लोज
पहले
कर
क्या
लेते हैं,
किया?
फिर हम लोग क्लोज कर लेते हैं, फिर हम लोग बात
नेक्स्ट
करते
स्टेज
हैं।
पे आते हैं दादा।
ओके,
तो
क्लोज कर।
तो इसी का नेक्स्ट पार्ट लेके आपके सामने पुनः प्रस्तुत होंगे। तब तक के लिए शुभ रात्रि, धन्यवाद।
जय हिंद,
जय
वंदे
हिंद, वंदे
मातरम।
मातरम, भारत
जय
माता की
हिंद,
जय।
वंदे मातरम।
भारत माता की जय। जनरल सिंह
भारत
भिंडरवाले
माता
की
की
जय।
जय।